We're at Drake.
Welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world watching us on CNN, CNN Max, CNN International.
I want to know why CNN does this.
and Espanol, and CNN.com. Good evening.
I guess it's just their whole, like, you know, we do look at both sides.
Alongside my
Like,
friend and colleague, Dana Bash.
And just 5 days from now, voters here in
man, there's
Iowa
like
will cast
40
the
people
first
here.
votes of
This
the
is in Iowa,
2024
right?
Presidential race tonight, the very first one-on-one matchup.
Human
between
together
top
strong.
contenders, Governor Ron DeSantis and
Thanks for the
former
follow.
Governor and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Former President Trump met the requirements for tonight's debate, but declined to
Forget that they have email
Our
alerts every time
commitment
someone
in this
follows.
debate is to provide
So
as
I'm
much
gonna get email.
information as possible to voters,
Thank you, though.
especially here in Iowa, before the first contests begin next week. So in choosing topics,
Yeah, Ethan, if you have
we
that clip
focused on the
of,
issues important to Republicans.
of,
Let's bring out the
Tim
candidates
Pool,
now.
we'll definitely
Please
watch
welcome
it.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
He's got to stop with the fake smiling. I'm trying to help you out. Everyone's trying to help you out when they tell you don't smile. Oh, I thought no one was going to clap for a second. It was... there was a pause. I thought no one was clapping.
Candidates, please take your positions.
I feel like they don't have
behind
much
the
beef.
podiums While we remind you and our audience,
I feel like everyone has
of the
beef with
ground rules.
Ramaswamy.
Each of you will have 90
Christie
seconds
and
to answer
Haley had some
questions,
beef, I feel like,
60
last
seconds
debate.
for responses and
So we'll see if we
rebuttals,
start
and
some
15
beef tonight.
seconds for clarifications. Timing lights will remind you when time is expired.
If I'm them,
We
I'm
also
attacking
remind
Trump.
our audience here in the
I'm not-
Sheslow Auditorium
I'm
at
not
Drake
gonna attack the
University
other too much.
To be respectful, so the candidates can hear the questions and can hear
I think
each other.
you have a better long-term
Just
trajectory
hours
if
ago,
you
the Republican
distance
field
yourself from
narrowed
Trump,
once
I
again.
guess.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie ended his
If
bid
there
for
even
the
is a
presidency.
base for that anymore.
With one fewer candidate in the running, let's start with the decision voters here in Iowa are about to face. Governor DeSantis, why should voters who are looking for an alternative to the current frontrunner, former President Trump, vote for you rather than former Governor Haley?
Well, to the people of Iowa, good evening. It's great to be in Iowa to have a debate here. Donald Trump's running to pursue his issues. Nikki Haley's running to pursue her donors' issues. I'm running to pursue your issues and your family's issues.
Sorry
and
the-
to turn this country around.
the
I'm
captions
the only
aren't
one
too
running that's delivered on 100% of the promises that I've made. We've delivered huge victories in the state of Florida, things that Republicans have been asking for a generation. I'm also the only one running that has beaten the left.
feel like
time
he was
and
about
time
to
again.
sneeze, no?
We beat the teachers union on universal school
feel like he caught
choice.
himself.
We beat Soros on crime. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat the Dems on election integrity. And I beat the left by banning China from buying land in the state of Florida. Now, Nikki Haley is running. We don't need another mealy-mouthed politician who just tells you what she thinks you want to hear just to try to get your vote, then to get in office and to do her donors' bidding. She was in another state, and she said the people of Iowa's votes need to be corrected. This is somebody that wrote in her book that Hillary Clinton inspired her to first run for office. I remember Hillary denigrating people on the Republican side as deplorables. We don't need a candidate who's
Oh
going
my
to look
God.
down on middle America.
Back
We've
in
had enough of
2015
that.
again.
I'm the only one that's going to be able to lead this country's revival. I'm asking for your
Right,
support,
Ethan.
and I won't let you
Right.
down.
I'm going to say at
Governor,
least he
response?
stands by his
Well, I
awful
think
values,
this is
I
a
guess.
time that we know that we need a new generation.
Even if it doesn't get
leader.
them
We
votes.
have watched our country be in disarray. We see the world on fire, and we need someone who's had executive experience. I've been a two-term governor.
Sorry, I'm trying to
that
make
took
it
a
louder.
Double-digit unemployment state and turned it into an economic powerhouse. I was at the UN. I dealt with Russia, China, Iran every day. But you're going to find out tonight that there's going to be a lot of Ron's lies that have happened. There are at least a couple of dozen so far that he's done. So what we're going to do is rather than have him go and tell you all these lies, you can go to DeSantisLies.com.
Oh, my
And
God.
look at all of those. There's at least 24 lies.
They
that
feel like
he's
these are
told about me, and
zingers
you
all
can
the
see where
time.
fact
People have been doing
checkers
this
say
since the
exactly
internet
what's gonna
started.
happen and exactly why it's wrong. So it will cover the fact
to
that he's only mad about the
TrumpSucks.com.
donors because the donors used to be with him, but they're no longer with him now. And that's because he's upset about the fact that his campaign is exploding. You're going to see the fact that he has switched his policies multiple times, and we'll call that out tonight. But every time he lies, Drake University, don't turn this into a drinking game because you will be overserved by the end of the night.
Well, I think this is interesting because you can actually go to RonDeSantis.com.
That's awesome.
Because Nikki Haley has this tactic. If you
bathrooms.
hold her accountable to her record,
transgender.
first she'll
Okay.
say, I never said that. Well, one good rule of thumb, if she says she's never said something, that definitely means she said it. And then she'll say, you're lying, you're lying. That means not only did she say it, but she's on videotape saying it. And so we have all the greatest hits. The reality is,
Go to my
Nikki
website.
Haley is not somebody that has been willing to stand in and fight on behalf of conservatives. You know, she ran for governor saying she was going to do universal school choice, and she caved to the teachers union. She didn't deliver that. In Florida, I delivered the largest expansion of school choice in the history of the United States. I beat the teachers union. And you know what the results are? When she was governor of South Carolina, she was rated 50th in education. Dead
It's mostly
last.
a Nikki's
you know where
awesome,
Florida is under
actually,
my watch?
site? That's
Number
awesome.
1 in the nation.
Your response, Governor Haley?
Go to DeSantisLies.com and you can find out for yourself.
Go to
But why don't we talk
1-800
about the fact
blah, blah,
that
blah to order
if
now.
we're going to say this, when Ron was representing Florida, he said that he promised not to raise the debt limit when he got to D.C., yet he raised the debt limit by hundreds of billions of dollars. He used to support Ukraine. He supported Ukraine when President Obama was in office. Now he's trying to copy Trump and saying that he no longer supports Ukraine and doesn't want to give them foreign aid anymore. He also goes and says that he wants to talk about me insulting Iowans. Iowans know when you're telling a joke. The fact that he's only running in one state is not the way you win president. I'm running in all states. But he should tell Iowans why he authored legislation to ban the renewable fuel standard that's so important to Iowans' economy, and the fact that he co-sponsored 5 different pieces of legislation to get rid of it. And also, then he also said he would never do anything with Social Security. Yet
What's
he
the
voted
website?
3 times
I already
to
forgot
raise
what it was.
the retirement age of Social
Thank you,
Security. So
Governor.
if you're going to talk about what
DeSantis
you said
sucks? What was it?
and
Thank you,
what
Governor.
you did, I think
DeSantis
you've got
lies.
your own explaining to do rather than
we're
telling
gonna-
lies.
Oh,
Well, thank you, Governor.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
going to get to a lot of these issues.
oh, you
as
can't.
we
You
debate.
can't. Sorry, we're looking at that later.
When Governor Christie dropped out of the race just a few hours ago, he said the most important issue is, quote, the character.
CNN is
of the
like, do
candidate.
not tune away.
Governor Christie also said he ran because he knew he would be the only Republican candidate to speak the truth about former President
Yeah, we'll do it during
Donald
the first
Trump.
break.
Do you believe Donald Trump has the character to be president again?
Well, I think the next president needs to have moral clarity.
God.
I think you need to have moral clarity to understand
They're
that it's
still so
taxpayer
afraid to
money,
just say yes.
not your own money. I think you need to have moral
Yes.
clarity to understand that
He
when
sucks.
you're dealing with dictators in the world, that we always have to fight for democracies and human rights and protecting Americans and preventing war. And so when you look at Donald Trump, I have said, I think he was the right president at the right time. I agree with a lot of his policies,
trying to get those
but his way
Trump
is
voters,
not my way.
which
I don't have vengeance.
I don't think they're switching
I don't
sides,
have
but-
vendettas. I don't take things personally. For me, it's
That's why they're
very
all so
much about
afraid,
no drama,
'cause they know
no
the truth,
whining,
which
and
is
getting results and getting
majority
them
of
done.
Republican
So
voters like
I
Trump.
don't think that
Still.
President Trump is the right president to go forward. I think it's time for a new generational leader that's going to go and make America proud again. That's
New
what I'm gonna try
generation.
to do.
Governor DeSantis, what is your response to Chris Christie? Do you believe Donald Trump has the character to be president again?
Well, I'm running because I'm the guy that's going to be able to engineer a comeback for this country. I appreciated what President Trump did, but let's just be honest. He said he was going to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. He did not deliver that. He said he was going to drain the swamp. He did not deliver that. He said he was going to hold Hillary accountable, and he let her off the hook. He said he was going to eliminate the debt, and he added $7.8 trillion to the debt. So we need to deliver and get this stuff done. And I think the difference between Nikki Haley and me, I listened to all that litany of stuff. I debated the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. I thought he lied a lot. Nikki Haley gives him a run for his money, and she may even be more liberal than Gavin Newsom is.
Oh,
we
my
are in a
God.
situation here in Florida.
That is not true. I don't even like Gavin Newsom like
Republicans,
that.
You
And
need somebody that
Gavin
is gonna
Newsom
be
is
in there and fight
very
for
much
you.
corporate Democrat.
And Nikki Haley, anytime the going gets tough,
But come on now.
anytime people come down, she caves. When you need someone standing and fight for you, don't look for Nikki Haley. You won't be able to find her if you had a search warrant.
Thank you, Governor. Governor Haley?
Sir.
Look, I think I dealt with Russia.
I love
China,
that there's
Iran,
40
North
people in
Korea
this crowd,
every
so there's
day.
like
No one
2
ever said
claps.
I caved. I defended America, and I fought for America.
America, yeah.
But I'll also also say this. This is not a time where you have to have pettiness. I wish Donald Trump was up here on this stage. He's the one that I'm running against. He's the one that I wish would be here. He needs to be defending his record.
Me too.
Right now, he's not defending the fact that he allowed us to have $8 trillion in debt over 4 years that our kids are never going to forgive us for. The fact that he didn't deal with China when it came to stealing intellectual property. The fact that they gave us COVID. The fact that they've gone and continued to put up Chinese police stations and continue to threaten our military. He didn't do enough to make sure that we were really standing with our friends and doing some other things. What we need is a leader that's not looking at 4 years and 8 years. We need a president that's looking at 20 and 30 years. Because I want my kids to have a good future. I want them to have one without
have you heard of
debt,
climate change?
one where they can read, one with secure borders, one where we have law and order, and one where
Worry about
America
20,
is
30
strong.
years. Climate change is now, and it's only going to get worse.
For her to say
And both of y'all
China, and look, I think he could have been tougher on
say
him
it's either
100%.
fake or
When
it's
Nikki Haley was
nothing we can
governor
do
of
about
South
it.
Carolina, she was the #1 governor in America for Republicans of bringing China into her state. She wrote a love letter to the ambassador saying that they were a great friend. She's on video saying China's a friend. She had a business, Chinese business, 5 miles from a military base. There's a video of her on the website right in front of a Chinese flag saying that she works for them now. So that was her #1 achievement as governor, was bringing China into the state of South Carolina. So you say you're going to look 10, 20, 30 years down the road? Why wasn't she doing that then when people were raising the red flags about it? In Florida, I banned China from buying land in our state,
Governor
and we
DeSantis.
kicked them out of our university. That's what you need to be doing.
We're going to talk about China in a little bit. I want to talk about the economy, which, according to a recent Des Moines Register poll, shows that the economy is the top issue for caucus goers here. So, Governor Haley, the rate of inflation is down. Prices,
All right.
though, are
Are we
still
talking about
high,
gas
and
prices?
Americans are struggling to afford food, cars,
Gas prices are
and
actually pretty good
housing.
right now,
What is
at least in
the
Colorado.
single most important policy that you would
We're like
implement as
$2.40?
president to make the essentials in Americans' lives more important?
I think we have to acknowledge that Republicans and Democrats have both done this. I mean, the fact that they've done all of this wasteful spending. They did a $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill that expanded welfare, that's now left us with 80 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million Americans on food stamps. That's a third of our country. What I will do is I think it's time we have an accountant in the White House. We have to have someone that respects taxpayer dollars. And we'll start by clawing back $100 billion of unspent COVID dollars that are still out there. We'll go in, instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, we'll go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud, 1 out of every $7. If 8% of our budget is interest, quit borrowing, cut up the credit cards. I had to balance a budget as governor. You have to balance a budget every day. Why is Congress the only group that refuses to balance a budget? We'll stop the spending, we'll stop the borrowing, we'll eliminate the pet projects and the earmarks, and I'll veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels. And then we want to make sure that we allow the middle class to breathe. We're going to eliminate the federal gas and diesel tax in this country and cut taxes on the middle class and simplify those brackets. And then we want to make the small business tax
Middle
cuts
class.
permanent. They made corporate tax cuts permanent, but they made small business tax cuts temporary. Small businesses are the heartbeat of America. We need to prove it by making those tax cuts permanent.
Governor DeSantis, what's your response? How would you make those essentials more affordable for Americans?
Well, I disagree with Ambassador Haley. We don't need an accountant in the White House. We need a leader in the White House, and that's what I would bring.
Yeah.
I've spoken.
I mean, I
with
still think you need an
Iowans,
accountant
visiting all
because
99
that's like their
counties,
job,
and also
is to
folks all across
balance
this
money
country.
and stuff.
The American dream is slipping away. People are working hard. They're getting the most out of their God-given ability. They're doing everything right, and they're
Just gonna
falling
yell at
further
the
and further
Excel
behind.
sheets to
Trying to afford
balance
a new
the
home
budget.
today, your monthly mortgage
Like the
payment
leader
would
I
be
am.
twice as much as what it would have been if you were starting out 5 years ago. We have to make the economy work for those folks. Yes, I'm going to battle the spending. In Florida, we have the national debt clock going up to $34 trillion. I see it. If you did a debt clock for the state of Florida, it would be counting down because we've paid down 25% of our state debt just since I've been governor. We're going to open up all energy for production because that will be deflationary. Nikki Haley, when she was governor, she promised she would never do the gas tax. Then she tried to raise the gas tax on hardworking South Carolinians. Here's the thing. We need to fly a flag of bold colors, carrying the banner of putting the American people first, not the pale pastels of the warmed-over corporatism of people like Nikki Haley.
Governor Haley, I want to bring you in, but because Governor DeSantis mentioned the gas tax, you do want to eliminate the federal gas tax, and that tax generated approximately $40 billion in 2022 and helps pay for road construction and repair. So how would you
We
fix
love roads.
America's roads and bridges?
Bold
if you take that money
rainbow
away?
colors.
Well, first of all, bless his heart, DeSantislies.com.
Oh, my
never
God.
Raised a tax.
tried
I've
to.
never raised a tax
You
at
tried.
all. I can tell
You're
you
on
right.
video.
Governor DeSantis, she has the floor.
So I can tell
You
you
tried.
that we
I have it
killed
on
the
video.
gas tax multiple times. But what we said is if you want to raise the gas tax, you have to reduce the income tax by 5 times that amount. They didn't want to do it. We've killed taxes every step of the way. But if he's going to talk about his economy, I
Yeah,
think
take
what
the
we should say is
5%
why
from the
does
this
Florida
tax
have the
and put it on the
highest
5% of the
property
income tax, and then you do
insurance
this
in the
tax, and then
country?
blah, 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 blah.
Why is it that it is named the American hotspot for inflation? Why is it that his state is now known to have the highest cost of living increases? And why is it that they're saying senior citizens can no longer afford to live in Florida? So that's the first thing I'll say. We don't need him doing that.
He has
to
a
our
weird
country.
seam
When
in
it
his
comes
hair?
to the gas tax,
He's having a little
when
bad
we
hair
eliminate
day?
that federal tax, the money is collected.
I have
in the
my
states
fair
and
share
they
of those
send
myself,
it to
but
the feds. The feds
it's more
attach
of
a
a-
lot of strings to it and send it back.
'cause I have a
75% comes
crazy
from the
haircut.
state, 25% comes from the federal government. What they do when they add those strings is they pay for a lot of things that aren't roads, green spaces, sidewalks, all of those things, but they attach strings. I want that money to stay in the states. I want the
Maybe they'll
states
fix
to
it
be
in
able to
between
decide
breaks.
how to spend it. I don't want Washington
I haven't seen it, though,
bureaucrats
yet.
deciding what we need for scenery.
I'm not sure
and
if they
green
have
space
makeup
and all
people
those
come
other
in
things.
between
I want every
to
state,
touch up
including the
anything.
state of Iowa, to make the decisions on how they spend their road spending instead of the federal government.
Governor DeSantis, your response?
Right? She kind of admitted that she did try to raise the gas tax, and she's on video saying this. I know she'll say it. She never said it, but she
You
did.
snipped it,
She
that.
did.
You
she
took a
did
little
do it.
piece
she
of
did
that. That is
she
not
also,
true.
She also
You-
raised
Governor
taxes.
Haley-
She
Governor
raised
Haley,
taxes when
Governor
she was in
DeSantis has
South
the floor.
Carolina. That's on the record. And
Like, he
she
just keeps
proposed,
going.
a tax on groceries at one point. But I'm just thinking, have you seen your grocery bill lately? That's one of the things that's hitting working people the most, that groceries are going up probably twice as much what you do. But I also think it's important that we lift people up. So in Florida,
By the
we
bootstraps?
eliminated all sales tax on every baby item. Diapers, wipes, strollers, cribs. We want families to be able to prosper in this country. One of the things that's causing so much problem is the breakdown in the American family. We've done a lot in Florida to be able to rejuvenate that, but we need to make it easier for people to raise children in this country so that we can have strong families and a strong country.
Governor DeSantis, at a CNN town hall last week, you said you support a flat tax, which is a single income tax rate for every American. Under your plan, would working families pay the same tax rate as billionaires?
I would only do it if people are better off than they are now. I mean, I want
So that's
people
not
paying less
yes.
taxes. Actually, if you think the last
It's
year
just
we
like
have numbers for,
throwing a little
the federal
caveat in there in
government took
case
the
it doesn't
highest
happen. Be like,
percentage
well,
of
I said,
taxes from the
I
economy
said,
since World War.
if I think it's best. Wait, what the fuck? Hello? Oh.
Not only would that be better
Sorry,
for
I don't know what
economic
happened there.
growth, it's also better to end the weaponization of government. The IRS has been weaponized against conservatives going back to the Obama administration. I was there for that. No one's been held accountable for doing that. You look at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice. The weaponization of federal power ends the day I become the president of the United States. There's going to be a new sheriff in town. We're going to restore the constitutional accountability that our founding fathers envisioned when they formatted the Constitution. And you know, I've talked to
I really
folks,
don't get the
who,
obsession of the
have
founding fathers,
overbearing
man.
Federal agencies. I mean, you have
They wouldn't
farmers who
comprehend
have
our current
the
age.
EPA coming on their farmland because
If you
there's
brought them
maybe
here
a
right
puddle
now,
there. Waters
they
of the
would
United
just
States.
explode.
Give me a break. So we're going to reduce the size of government, but we're also going to reduce the scope of government. And in Florida, I've actually delivered on this. Florida has the lowest percentage of state government workers per capita in the country, and the cost of our state government employees is the lowest in the country. No wonder why we're paying down debt while we're cutting taxes for people. That's the way you do it.
Governor DeSantis, 15-second point of clarification. The question was whether or not working families would pay the same amount.
They would pay less than
billionaires.
what they're paying now. The way I
See,
view
don't
it
pay
is,
governor or
okay,
yeah.
you'd exempt people so you
Or
would
at
pay
all.
no
I
tax
mean,
for working class
Ramaswamy
people.
isn't
It would
here,
only be
but
as you get
he always
above,
said he
because I
wanted to
think
just
the
get
first
cut like
40,
70% of
50
jobs.
grand, that's just to subsist, and even some places
From
you
the
can't
federal
even
government.
do that. So you would have no tax up to a certain point, and then it would just be a single rate. So if somebody makes
you.
$100,000,
What's up, Nathan Scott?
they pay
Hello,
a certain
hello.
amount. If someone makes $200,000, they make
Governor
twice as much,
DeSantis.
and they pay twice as much.
Governor Haley, your
I mean,
response?
first of all, you just can't trust what he says. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We don't have a grocery tax in South Carolina, and I never once raised taxes, period. But what I will tell you is it is to call into question, why did he promise he'd never raise the debt limit, and he turned around and he raised it? And then you want to go and you see one side of what he says early on, and then he changes it. So here he goes and he says that he is all for energy independence. He wants to get the EPA out of the way. Well, why did he run on the fact that he wanted to ban fracking and ban offshore drilling? Why did he go and author that legislation to eliminate the renewable fuel standard that matters so much? And why now is he suddenly coming to Iowa and saying, oh, never mind, I don't mean all of that? Why did he call Trump and say that he wanted him to stop drilling 9 miles into federal waters? Why is he now
Based
saying this?
DeSantis
Why do you come to the people
wants
of
to
Iowa and
ban
say one
fracking?
thing when you campaigned and on day 2 of your office, you banned fracking, you
Renewable
banned offshore
DeSantis?
drilling, you turned around and authored and led the charge on banning the renewable fuel
Governor.
standard.
Yeah.
You've got to stand up for those things
You've been
did.
beating that dead horse. That's
Because
been debunked
it's
multiple
true,
times.
Ron, it's
We're looking
true.
forward to be able to open up energy for production, and definitely here in the Midwest.
Both of
with
them
biofuels.
just
I'm
have
the only one
no
that checked all the
charisma.
boxes,
So when they really try to
from the
roast each
Iowa
other, it's
renewable
just
fuel
like,
standard, because I've actually visited all
you
99
suck.
counties.
It's just
I've
like-
actually shown up to people's farms. I've sat and I've
to me, it's just
listened
not
to
hidden.
people about what they're going through,
For both of
how
them.
their economy is structured, and how it's important that we're producing energy here in the United States.
I hate
never
to say
wanna
it, but I
go
kind of wish
hand-in-hand
Ramaswamy
like
was here,
Biden
because
has
at least
done to
at least he
Venezuela
like
or Saudi
when he
and begging for
when he
energy.
dunks
We're
on
gonna
you,
be able
like
to
he
open up
brings the energy
production.
with it.
We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus
even if what you're
Shale
saying is
over the
stupid
Mullis.
or doesn't make
We're gonna
sense,
choose the Bakken over
how you
Beijing.
say it
Energy
is
independence
important.
Isn't even. It's not. It's good for consumers.
And yeah,
It's good
Chris
to
Christie
reduce
was
inflation,
great at that
and
last
it's one
time,
of the best
too.
things we can do for our national security. So we'll do that on day 1, and we are going to reverse Biden's Green New Deal and the electric vehicle mandates.
Every time
will
I
save
hear
the
that, I'm
American
like,
automobile.
I wish
Thank you,
that was
Governor.
true.
This has been one of the biggest years for illegal border crossings into the United States. Last month alone, 225,000 migrants illegally crossed the southern border. It's a record high, overwhelming the Border Patrol resources that are already stretched thin. Mayors across the country say their cities are being pushed to a breaking point.
Who said
Governor
this?
DeSantis, former President Trump famously promised to build a wall on the southern border. He obviously did not get that done. You have promised to finish the job. How will you succeed where he failed?
We will build a wall. We will actually have Mexico pay for it in the way that I thought Donald Trump was. We're going to charge fees on remittances that workers send to foreign countries, billions of dollars. We'll build the wall. He also promised record deportations. Donald Trump deported fewer people than Barack Obama did when he was president. Biden's let in 8 million people just in 4 years. They all have to go back. We have to enforce
our
the
like
rule of law in this country. Think about what's
our
happening
border
to our country.
like
Just this
laws
week,
and
we
shit
saw the news
haven't really
that a
changed
high
that
school- that a
much.
school in Brooklyn, New York.
I mean, shit,
had the kids
the
stay
changes
home.
Trump
They
did
were not
haven't
able to go to
been
school,
rechanged
told you can't go get an
or
in-person
have been
education.
reversed
Why?
by
Because
Biden.
the city's commandeering the school to house illegal aliens in it. Talk about putting Americans last. You're putting these kids out of an education because you can't control the border. Biden has failed in this endeavor. He has not taken care that the laws of this country be faithfully executed. Do not trust Nikki Haley with illegal immigration. That's like having the fox guard the hen house. She's on tape at the Aspen Institute. She'll say she didn't say it. She was chastising conservatives, saying it's disrespectful to illegal aliens to say that they're criminals. They're violating the law. It's disrespectful when people come to this country illegally and impose burdens on our communities and run drugs into this country. That's what's disrespectful. She's weak on immigration. She's bankrolled by people who want open borders, and she said there shouldn't be a limit on immigration. You should work with corporate CEOs.
Thanks, Governor.
That is pale pastels. That
Governor,
is warmed
thank
over
you so much. So,
corporatism.
Governor Haley,
I mean, There's definitely
Governor DeSantis and also Donald
an
Trump,
economy
are
that's based
attacking
off
you for
illegal
that comment
immigration.
in 2015, in which you said undocumented
Especially
immigrants should not be
in
called, quote, criminals at the time.
the
full
near the
context is
border.
You said, quote, we don't need to talk about them as criminals. They're not. They're families.
They ain't citizens. They
They'll
didn't
want a
consent to
better
any
life, and
laws.
they're
Right. I
desperate to
mean,
get
the
here,
logic
unquote.
there
Do you
breaks.
still feel that way?
I saw them when I was at the
It's
United
disrespectful,
Nations.
though,
I
Ethan.
saw them.
That's-
That doesn't mean we should
Hey,
let
I
them
didn't-
into
it's
our
not
country.
illegal,
I
but
mean,
it's
first of
disrespectful.
all, I will tell you that when I was governor of South Carolina, we passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country. Obama sued us over it, and we won. We fought Obama on illegal
We
immigration.
fought
We
Obama
fought Obama
in
on
the
migrant
cage
kids. We fought
on
Obama
WWE.
on Syrian
You
refugees.
should have been
we
there.
fought Obama on Guantanamo Bay prisoners. I have always said we are a country of laws. The second we stop being a country of laws, we give up everything. This
You're
country
pro
was founded on.
Guantanamo?
But I will tell you, in passing that
In
toughest illegal
2024?
immigration law in the country, we passed E-Verify, which I want to take national, which is where businesses have to prove
Stream's
that the
going.
people they
Hopefully it
hire
reconnects.
are in this country legally. I passed it within 6 months.
It's gotta
of
be
being
my
governor.
Streamlabs.
Ron didn't pass it for 5 years. He only waited to pass it when he decided to run for president. What we need to do is not just ban a wall. We need to put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do
how many
their
people watch
job.
this stream
We
and
need to
what
defund
Streamlabs goes?
sanctuary
It makes
cities
no sense.
once and for all. No more safe havens for illegal immigrants. We need to make sure we go back. You only do that when
All right,
you
we're back.
focus on national security, not telling lies to the American people that they have to choose. That is wrong. That's never been the case.
Yeah, I mean that person is just a random person copyright striking. They're probably just it's probably some dumbass conservative 14-year-old going around just claiming copyright strikes. Because this is free.
To an end by bringing Ukraine into NATO. But of course, we're a NATO country, so if you bring Ukraine into NATO, that puts the United
Renji Chen
States
kid,
at war.
yeah, the
Megan
person
said that
who
to
did
her,
it says
and then she
Renji
basically
Chen
gave a
at
word
some weird
salad,
email.
as to how you go from there.
It's bullshit.
So they have sent
It's the same
tasks.
issues on
She
YouTube.
supports this
You could
$106
theoretically
billion
claim
that they're
anything
trying to
on
get through
YouTube,
Congress. Where's some of
and
that money
then-
go? They've done tens of billions of dollars to pay salaries
And most people
for
don't fight it.
Ukrainian government
I'm gonna fight it,
bureaucrats.
don't worry.
They've paid pensions for Ukrainian
This is
retirees
fair use.
with your tax dollars. We've got homeless veterans.
It wasn't like
We
I
have
was
all these
flagged for,
problems. This is the UN way of thinking.
you know,
that we're somehow globalist and we have
saying some
unlimited
like, you know,
resources to
saying
do
a
it.
slur or something.
I think here's the
But yeah, they want me to
problem.
do fucking
You can
school.
take the ambassador
They want me
of
to-
the
I have to do a
United
fucking
Nations, but you can't
online
take the
class
United
to
Nations out
remove
of
my
the ambassador.
copyright strike. I'm
First of all,
a
I
lot
have
better
never
than a
said
lot of
we
other
should give
people.
salaries or
There's literally
benefits or
streamers who get
anything else
thousands
to
thousands
Ukrainians. I've
users
said it again,
who
we
don't
want to stop
follow any
lying.
copyright shit.
You supported the aid
DeSantislies.com.
Governor
packages.
DeSantis, she has the floor.
So you go. I did not
Yeah,
support
but
the aid package.
classic
I support
Twitch.
equipment
Also on the
ammunition
day
going to
Twitch lays
Ukraine.
off 500 people,
I think it
so-
is incredibly important that we're honest and say
Maybe
we
it's
have
all
to
customer
focus
support,
on
who knows?
national security. Don't go and lie to the American people to make them think we can't do this. You turn around and raise the debt limit. You're the one that's talked about, look at what you did to Florida, but think about the fact that he's talking about where's this money going to come from. The best way to tell about a candidate is to see how they've run their campaign. He has blown through
At least in 48 hours, I should have my stream back at least for
Through his
CSGO,
campaign,
hopefully.
He has
We'll see.
nothing to show for it. He spent more money on private planes than he has
Wednesday,
on
right?
commercials
Oh,
trying
no,
to
it
get
might-
Iowans to vote for him. If you can't
I don't
manage
know.
a campaign, how are you going to manage a country? Which is exactly what
Well, listen, I'm proud that in the state of Florida, we're ranked #1 for economy of all 50 states by CNBC, #1 for
Highest cost of
education.
living.
She was ranked number 50 in
Highest-
education when she was governor of
highest
California.
Yeah, I'm just
insurance
gonna
in
just
America.
keep streaming like normal right now.
She didn't
I'll
deliver
try
big
to
tax
do a video
cuts.
of
We're
it to get.
also
I'll have to
#1
combine
for
the two
net
files,
in-migration,
but
#1 for GDP
which will
growth amongst large states,
delay it going up, but-
#1 for talent development, #1 for new business formations, and on it goes. So the success we've had in Florida, I can cite the statistics. It's important. But just look how people are voting with their feet. They're leaving California. They're leaving Illinois, New York.
because if
all
you're
these states,
banning
and they're
me,
coming
you
to
might as well
Florida in
ban
record
Hassan.
numbers because
You
we're
might
doing
as
it right.
well
And
ban
not only
multiple
have I
other
cut
people
taxes
who are.
big time, where
I
she's
can guarantee
been
are
governor
streaming
of
us
South
right now.
Carolina. We've paid
You know?
down
What the fuck is this? This keeps crashing. But I thought it was my internet at first, but I was like, no, everything else is running fine.
that for the United States of America.
So thank you. Let's stay on foreign policy. I want to turn to the Israel-Hamas war. You both have said that you unequivocally support Israel. You both have called for the complete elimination of Hamas. Governor DeSantis, there are real disagreements within Israel about how to handle what happens in Gaza after the war against Hamas is over.
If there's any part of Gaza left,
for the mass removal of Palestinians.
It told me right away you were
from
suspended.
Gaza.
Yeah.
Governor Haley told CNN last week she does not support that. Do you?
So we got to support Israel.
See what happened to the copyright strike that goes on your account.
Finish the job.
And then that's like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't take out on your stream. The fact that it just takes me down is stupid.
This is a time to recognize that they suffered the most deaths of Jews, murder of Jews since the Holocaust. Hamas wants a second Holocaust. They want to annihilate the state of Israel. So I think to be a good ally, you back them in the decisions that they're making with respect to Gaza.
By doing
genocide,
genocide, wiping out 30,000 people
but
now.
for us to be sitting in Washington, second-guessing them, I don't think that's the right way.
Oh, no one's second-guessing them in Washington. They know exactly what they're doing.
When she was at the UN, she supported the idea of a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians.
I forget you can do emojis. I just see the 100.
Arabs don't recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. So doing a two-state solution doesn't create something that's going to lead to a lasting peace. It creates a stepping stone for Israel's destruction. So under no circumstances, as president, am I going to
get the link
pressure
for
Israel to
Twitter,
risk their security to do a so-called two-state solution. She was wrong when she embraced that, and we're right to say we trust Israel to make these decisions. They're a good ally of ours. We should trust their judgment on these sensitive issues.
Governor DeSantis, 15-second clarification. Do you support the mass removal of Palestinians from Gaza?
So as president, I am not going to tell them to do that. I think there's a lot of issues with that. But if they make the calculation that to avert a second Holocaust, they need to do that. I think some of these Palestinian Arabs, Saudi Arabia should take some. Egypt should take some. They've never been willing to accept any of these folks in their own neighborhood.
Thank you, Governor Haley.
Well, first of all, we need to understand the reason we need to support Israel is Israel's a bright spot in a tough neighborhood. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to defeating terrorism. It has never been that Israel needs America. It has always been that America needs Israel. When I was at the United Nations, I fought every day for Israel. And if you would have listened to what I said at the United Nations, a two-state solution wasn't something that was possible because Israel would always come to the table and the Palestinians wouldn't. But right now, we have to make sure that Israel has the support that it needs. There should be three things. Give Israel whatever it wants to get the job done. 2, eliminate Hamas.
Are you fucking kidding me? And then Twitch sends me an email. Here's your stream summary.
But it's really rich that Ron is going to act
and
like
it's literally my
he's
views are
for
going
Israel
up.
When he brought the person to
Cool.
Iowa that's the most
Thanks, Twitch.
anti-Israel
Fucking losers.
Republican in the state, the person that went and voted against Israel's right to exist in Congress, the person that voted with the squad against
Literally my viewers are
college
peaking
campuses.
right as
And
it
you brought that
right as they
person
took me down. Cool.
to Iowa to go and campaign with you. If that's your friends,
Governor
I'd hate to see
DeSantis,
who
she's
the rest
obviously
of your
referring to
friends are.
Congressman Tom Massey from Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, that's just cheap
give
garbage.
Israel whatever they want.
When the attacks
true.
happened against Israel, I knew it was going to be a big deal for Florida. We have one of the largest Israeli-American populations in the country, and we've been a haven for Orthodox Jews in particular since I've been governor. And you know what? Biden wasn't helping Americans get out of the war zone. These are people that were stranded. So I did an executive order. We scrambled planes, and we rescued over 700 Americans from Israel and brought them back safely to the state of Florida. You got to step up and you got to lead when things like this are happening. We also have gone
maybe it was a
after
squad
the
of people
anti-Semitism
just mass
on our
reporting
campuses.
or have
We did that
multiple
early
accounts
in
or
my
something.
administration. You didn't see our college presidents doing some of the things that you've seen. I just announced in the State of the State address yesterday or 2 days ago that we are going to say, and not just for Jewish
I just love that I
students,
can't
anyone
even.
who's having
I don't even have
religious
access to
being
my account. I don't
persecuted
think.
or
Like, at
being
all.
marginalized because of their faith in any
Like, it's just
college
gone?
around the
The whole
country,
account's
we're going
gone?
to waive the transfer requirements so that people can come to Florida and be safe. What they are doing to these
I'm
Jewish
I'm
students
logged
has
out
been
everything.
reprehensible, and we're not going to let it happen.
So there are.
So how am I supposed to repeal it?
I'm coming to you. There are growing fears of this war
just
escalating
fucked?
into a broader regional conflict. And Governor Haley just yesterday,
Fucking
the
stupid.
U.S. Navy shot down 21 missiles and drones fired by Iranian-backed militants.
Sorry, I'm
in the
trying to
Red
focus.
Sea.
I should focus.
Iranian-backed
Not get mad.
militants are now also attacking U.S. and Western interests in Syria and Iraq. Your fellow South Carolinian Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is calling for the U.S. to conduct retaliatory strikes inside Iran. Would you order strikes inside Iran?
Well, first of all, notice Ron didn't say anything about the fact that he did bring that most anti-Israel Republican into this state to campaign. He also hasn't told you that the only Republican Jewish state legislator left his campaign because he wasn't dealing with the neo-Nazi marches and wasn't dealing with anti-Semitism properly. When it comes to Iran, what we have to understand, there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would not be Houthis without Iran. There wouldn't be Hezbollah without Iran. And when you look at the strikes that are happening in Iraq and Syria, that is because of Iran. They're pulling the puppet strings. What we need to do is the idea that we've had over 130 strikes on our men and women in Iraq and Syria is unconscionable. We're supposed to have their backs. And Biden has been slow. He's been hiding in a corner, and he hasn't dealt with it. We need to go and take out every bit of the production that they have that's allowing them to do those strikes. It's hugely important that we do that. And you can't do that if you have a Secretary of Defense that is in ICU and the president doesn't even know about it. What bothers me is how does Biden not talk to his Secretary of Defense every single day, knowing that we have a war in Europe, a war in the Middle East, that we have our American military with strikes going on them. We've got brain injuries. My husband is deployed right now. As a military spouse, the idea that the Secretary of Defense would not even be in contact with the president, much less in contact with his staff, is unforgivable.
Governor DeSantis.
After the attacks against Israel, anyone with half a brain knows Iran is behind this. They fund Hamas. They fund Hezbollah. We did a special session of the legislature down in Florida. We expanded sanctions against Iran. If we were our own country, we'd be the 14th largest economy in the world. The root of this is Biden came into office and he relaxed the sanctions on Iran. They've had massive amounts of money flooding into their country, just like under the Obama administration. They take that money and they use it to fund jihad around the world. I'm the only one running for president that served in the armed forces. I deployed to Iraq back in 2007, 2008. So I understand what our military goes through. I would never put our troops in harm's way like Biden is doing in the Middle East without defending them with everything they got. If you harm a hair on the head of one of our service members, you are going to have hell to pay. He's leaving them out to dry, and I think it's disgraceful for a commander-in-chief to do that.
Thank you, Governor. The CNN
if you hurt
from Des Moines, Iowa, we'll be right back after this. Go to CNN.com.
if you hurt one of our American soldiers, we'll send more American soldiers. Basically. Well, okay, ad for 265 seconds, I guess. I'm just like out of my game now because I'm just like, I feel like I missed a good chunk of it. I don't know how long. I guess it wasn't that long in between, but I mean, I don't feel like anyone's like really crushing this debate. I mean, I guess DeSantis I feel like is doing better. He doesn't look as razzled, I guess. I mean, he's doing better than I thought he would. Haley just keeps going back to her website, which I think is just, it gets, even if it was a good argument the first time, it loses its sauce once you start using it over and over again. So I feel like for me, that's where she's losing. But other than, I mean, no one's really like crushing it for me though. I feel like this is one of the better DeSantis debates we've seen, but he's also getting more airtime than he has in the past because it's just two people. So maybe that's part of it. So I guess in that way, I guess he's winning. He's not, flundering considering the he's getting more airtime, because some people with more airtime they fall apart, right? A good example of this I always point to is Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang used to get 5 minutes at a 2.5 hour debate, and as soon as he started becoming more in the public eye, people realized this guy sucks. He's an idiot. So I guess in a way, maybe DeSantis with more time is doing well. But yeah, Haley is just not hitting for me right now either. I don't know. It's hard with these things, right? Where we've always talked about this as well, where it's like they're all saying shit I don't agree with, so it's kind of hard to say who's winning. But I feel like execution, I think Haley started off strong, but then is now kind of just feeling like she has no really good responses besides saying, "You're lying. Check out my website." When DeSantis kind of seems to be more actionable in what he's saying he's like, "We're going to do these things so that we can get Mexico to pay for it." Even if I disagree 110% with what he's saying, I feel like he's at least giving some sort of actual substance. When Haley, I can't think of anything right now where she's, I feel like, giving me like a concrete answer. So I guess for me right now, I'm leaning to DeSantis because of that, but not by maybe not by much, because really both aren't really moving the needle for me. But I'm not expecting them to, I guess, at the same time. But we'll see. Wait, do I gotta wait? Has it not gone down when I'm not here? Hold up. 240? Yeah, I don't think it goes. I have to fucking sit here. Oh my god. Yo, CNN sucks. And if it is someone from CNN who took it down, fuck you. But yeah, I don't think I can even fight it because the email says to go in twitch.com to their thing, I think. Let me just look again. I just love that they're like, fire emoji, your stream summary is ready after I just got my account taken down. I know it's automated, but also like it's kind of like the biggest fuck you. And it's also showing me a graph where the numbers are going up. Cool. You can submit a valid counter notification by following the requirements here. If you would like to reach out to see a retraction from the copyright claimant, please contact them directly. Yeah, okay. Yeah, renji.chen@wbd.com. Yeah. Seems legit, man. They make this as complicated as possible too to dispute this. At least YouTube, I can go on my account still and dispute it right then and there. But Twitch, it's like, nope, you're logged out, your account's gone for 48 hours. But if you want to appeal it, oh, and if you want to get rid of the strike, you gotta go to school. Bro, I've been streaming forever. I know how copyright works. Here's how to submit one, and it's submit the date, the material you're reporting, the URL where allegedly inferior material can be found, the date and time of the infringement, link that post directly to an authorized example of the copyright work, name of the rights holder. See, you can't just like, there's no way they have someone sitting at Twitch headquarters, you know what I mean? And it can't be real, dude. Why would they go after me, who has 8 viewers max? I can guarantee you if we go on twitch.tv/Hassan right now or whatever, he's streaming it. Or someone like him is streaming it. If I can even fucking watch a video. Oh, I can't even watch. Oh, sorry, I'm on a different Hassan.
Nicotine is hard.
I can guarantee he's watching it right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe he's taking a break too. What is this? 100% pay here. I'm just saying, like, I'm not the only one doing this. And CNN doesn't seem like the type to do that. But I feel like you can fake all this shit. Because there's no way you submit it and then I can guarantee it's a bot. It's probably just like, oh, they filled out all the things. Let's strike them to be safe, because they'd rather be safe than have an actual company reach out, like to try to sue and be like, you didn't take it down quick enough. I commit a counter notification. Because someone from CNN isn't gonna reach out from this email. It'll be a customer service email or some sort, or a media relations. It would not be from some random Joe Schmo on a Wednesday night, where it's free on their website, and they make it free for a reason. Yeah, so this thing was not playing.
Republican presidential debate live from Drake University in Iowa.
Well, I might as well just
Let's talk
not
about a
go
big
live, I guess,
question
anymore. It doesn't
in
really
the
matter.
Republican Party right now, and that is, what is the role of government, and should it use its power to go after businesses and private entities that take actions that don't align with conservative values? Governor DeSantis, you used your powers in Florida to take on Disney after the company criticized an education bill that you signed into law. How does that square with the traditional conservative view that small, limited government is best?
The proper role of government, if it means anything, it's to protect our kids. And I've stood for the innocence of our kids. It is wrong. It is wrong to sexualize the curriculum. It's wrong. And look, my wife and I, we've got a first grader, a kindergartner, and a preschooler. This is something that's important to us personally. It's wrong to tell a kindergartner, like Disney wanted to do, that you can change your gender, or tell a third grader that you're born in the wrong body. So I stood up against, the media didn't like it, the left didn't like it, and Disney didn't like it, and they're the 800-pound gorilla in the state of Florida. Most people, most
like
corporate
half of your
Republicans
economy
would have caved. I stood and I fought for the kids. We took on Disney, and we defeated that, and we won that fight, and our kids are better off. Now, Nikki Haley sided with Disney. She invited them to South Carolina, even though they were involved in transing kids. That is not what we need to do, but I think that's similar.
Here comes the transphobia part of the debate. Hopefully it's over quick.
Of the party. For example, she supported $900 million in subsidies to Boeing when she was in South Carolina, and then when she got out of office, she took a seat on their board, and she made millions of dollars. Then she gave speeches, paid speeches, to a lot of Wall Street interests, didn't publish what she said. We don't know what she promised them, and she made millions of dollars doing that. Now they're the ones that are funding her campaign. So we need to stand up for the people and not bow down to woke corporations. And we know Nikki Haley will cave to the woke mob every single time.
Governor Haley,
woke mob.
Government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. And what we don't need is government politicizing anything. The first thing I'll say is, again, DeSantisLies.com, because I have never said anything related to the transgender.
She's still
stuff he
doing
says.
this.
I've always fought to protect kids.
She's going to lose
I've
this
always
debate
said that
because of that
boys need to
alone.
go into boys' bathrooms, girls need to go into girls' bathrooms, that we shouldn't have any gender transitions before the age of 18. Just like we don't have tattoos before the age of 18, we shouldn't have gender transformation or puberty blockers. But I will tell you that it's really interesting that Ron talks about this Disney, because Disney has been woke for a long time. They were against the immigration situation that Trump was doing. They were against the Paris Climate Agreement when I did it. They were against the pro-life bill in Georgia. Ron didn't have any problem with that. As a matter of fact, he gave them the largest corporate subsidies in Florida history.
This is crazy,
He had
man.
a tech exemptions that he didn't give any tech exemptions to anybody but Disney. Yet when they went and criticized
This is
him,
so
he got
culture
thin
war.
skinned
I don't
and
think
suddenly
anyone
started to
cares.
fight back. We don't need government fighting against
Besides
our private
online
industry.
conservatives.
Well, we are not woke in South Carolina. I will
We
always
are not
invite
woke.
businesses to come to South Carolina. But the one thing you don't do is government doesn't bully our businesses, and that can't happen. And Ron is determined. Anybody that
Thank you,
offends him,
Governor.
he goes after them, and
Thank
he'll
you,
use
Governor.
government.
Governor
to go
DeSantis.
after them.
She just said she's always fought to protect kids, but when she was governor of South Carolina, they had a bill to protect girls from men going into the bathroom. She killed it, and she's bragged about it for years that happened. She didn't stand up and fight the kids. She caved to the Chamber of Commerce and the corporation. She said she's against the surgeries for minors. That wasn't what she said this summer.
Why does it keep doing that, dude? And now it's not going to put me back to where I was. Oh my fucking god. See, that fucking sucks,
You say
dude.
you want to, quote, make America Florida.
Well,
Do you
I don't know where we
want to
were,
implement
and
those
this
Florida
is
school
not
policies nationwide?
I'll
Sorry.
get to that in a sec. So Nikki Haley
Yeah,
said she wants
I'm not
parents to decide
fucking
on the education.
uploading this, so.
She campaigned for governor saying she was going to do school choice to be able to
Or
give
maybe I'll just
private
leave it up as a live
scholarships,
stream.
particularly to low-income families. And she was governor and never did it. She caved to the teachers union. I delivered the biggest school choice expansion in the history of the United States. We beat the teachers union. We've even done paycheck protection so that so that teachers
Doesn't
aren't
seem like
forced
it's that
to do
far
dues,
off, though.
and now they're choosing other things.
Okay, what was the
So
time
we've
on
done
it?
it right in
6:59?
Florida, and the results speak for themselves.
All right, so
we
at
have
least
one of the
I mean,
top
it's live,
performing
but
fourth grade reading and math in the country. And if you
All right,
just
thanks,
took our
Ethan, for
charter
popping
school
in.
population,
Yeah, well, I'm gonna email him
365,000
tonight,
kids,
probably.
disproportionately low income, racial ethnic minorities, if they were their own state, they'd be in the top 5 in performance. Everyone can succeed, but you got to have a leader who's going to fight the teachers unions and is going to deliver school choice. Governor Kim Reynolds did that here in Iowa, who's endorsed me. Nikki Haley did not. She failed. And if she can't do it in the reddest state in the country of South Carolina, how are you going to be able to succeed in Washington, D.C.? Now, in terms of what we've done, we believe in empowering parents. And there's certain standards about what's age and developmentally appropriate. It's wrong to have pornographic materials in 4th or 5th grade. And you know what's happened? They'll go to school board meetings all around the country. They'll start reading it, and they say, oh, no, it's too graphic. You can't read it here. You can't put it on the 6 o'clock news. Well, if it's not appropriate in a school board meeting and you can't put it on the 6 o'clock news, why are you jamming it down the throats of a 4th grader?
So, Governor,
it's not happening.
just
God.
a point of clarification. Do you want to implement Florida's education policies nationwide?
It depends on the policy. School choice, universal, yes. I don't want a nationalized curriculum. I think that's a bottom-up thing. I want to get rid of the Federal Department of Education, get that weight off the backs of the state and local governments. But we are going to do nationwide scholarships through the tax.
That's why, like,
corporate
some
tax
people from some
credits,
states,
and that's going
like,
to bail out a lot of
know
poor
jack
kids
shit
throughout
about
this country.
the Civil War, or think one way about the Civil War.
I have fought for school choice in my entire career because I think parents know their children best, and I think we should always do that. That's why we passed charter school legislation in our state. That's why we empowered homeschoolers in our state. That's why we changed the funding formula so we lifted up challenged areas without bringing down the wealthy areas. We wanted school choice. I had a Republican legislature that wouldn't do it, but we pushed hard to get that done. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it across the country, but what we have to do is we have to make it state-centric. We've got to get these programs down to the state level. We've got to let the focus be on teachers. Teachers right now have to be the guidance counselors, the pastors, the nurses, and everything in between. And oh, by the way, they have to teach to a test. That's not what teachers want. Teachers want to do what they were taught to do. And that means math, science, reading, history, English, arts. That's it. Schools can't be all things to all kids. They need to let the parents parent. They need to let teachers teach. And we need to go back to the basics in education so we get our kids ready.
That was the problem, though. That word salad is the problem.
Governor DeSantis.
She says she's always supported school choice, and she failed to deliver. She blames other people. Leadership is about getting things done.
How long is this debate?
Make it happen.
I mean, that was an hour before they took a break,
If
no?
leadership's about getting
Yeah.
things done. How did you
So if
blow
it's
through
$2 hours?
$150 million in your campaign and you were down in the polls?
So here's
you
I
are
think
not
this
a manager.
is very
No,
instructive.
now I'm going
I
to
think
say
it's very instructive
no,
about
if
what
he's
how
gonna do
Nikki
this-
Haley sees the world.
I
She
think I have
equates
the floor.
Political
Governor
advertisement
DeSantis,
as like that's as important
Governor
as the
DeSantis,
kids and
Governor
their
Haley has the
education.
floor.
What is more important here? She's saying
Governor
somehow
DeSantis,
that's
it's
not
Governor
as important.
Haley's.
Hello? Why does it just keep doing this, dude?
It's Governor Haley's time. Go ahead.
I think I hit a nerve. What I will tell you is, look, if you can't manage a campaign, it's been a revolving door of political people in and out of his campaign. You've heard of campaign people going to blows with each other because they can't all agree. $150 million, and he spent more on private planes than commercials. I flew commercial, not your money. It's other people's money, and you have to know how to handle it. If he can't handle the financial parts of a campaign, how's he going to handle the economy when it comes to the White House? And he goes and he has been demeaning me over and over again, telling lies, DeSantisLies.com, because he thinks it makes him look bigger. But in the one basic thing, you've campaigned for president in one state, you're invisible in New Hampshire, you're invisible in South Carolina, you're in 5th place, you've got $150 million, and you've gone down in the polls in Iowa. Why should we think you can manage or do anything in this country?
Thank you. Governor DeSantis.
This is a great window into leadership because she's focused on a lot of political process stuff, things that no voter cares about, and she couldn't tell you why she failed to deliver school choice to people in her state after she promised it. So she says somehow that is the indicative of, no, leadership is about producing results. We've produced the results in Florida. We did universal school choice. We've cut taxes. We banned sanctuary cities. On and on down the line, everything I promised I delivered. She doesn't have a rationale.
Yeah, this can't
for
be
why
more
she
than
couldn't get it
2
done.
hours, I
That
imagine.
is poor leadership. You look at
Especially
me,
if there's only 2
everything I
people.
promised I would do, I've delivered, and you can expect nothing less when I'm the president of the United
We're
States.
gonna move on now.
I need to respond to that.
Go ahead.
So you want to talk about leadership, and he wants to go and demean and put down. Let me tell you what leadership is. Leadership is the fact that I went into South Carolina that had 11% unemployment rate. Leadership is the fact that we turned it into an economic powerhouse, building planes, building cars, building tires. We were named the Beast of the Southeast. We moved the 11%
Beast of the
unemployment down to
Southeast.
4%. We announced jobs in every
What,
county
Kat?
in the state.
What?
We moved 35,000 people on welfare to work. We changed our prison system to where we now have the lowest recidivism rate in the country. We passed voter ID. We passed tort reform. We did pension reform. We paid down our debt. We cut taxes. We made sure that people were proud again. We did E-Verify in the first 6 months, not 5 years like Ron. So don't go and pick on school choice and say that that's leadership. Okay. When I got to the UN, we cut $1 billion off the top, and we took the kick me son off of our backs.
She's
and
doing
America
better
was
now.
respected
I
again
feel like
at
she's
the
been
UN.
more
I know
specific
what
and-
leadership
Get it done.
is.
We're moving on to a topic, governors, that both
Should be
of
more
you
specific than she was in the
have made
first
sense
half.
of trade war with China. As a result, his administration paid out $28 billion in subsidies to farmers. You have vowed to be even tougher than Donald Trump on China. If your trade policies also end up hurting America's farmers, are you prepared to cut a check just like he did?
Well,
Come on, man.
that's why Trump should be here on this debate stage. He should have to defend it. So first of all, I've said China is our #1 national security threat. I fought them every single day at the United Nations. I know what they're capable of. The first thing we have to do is we have to make sure we stop selling them any land and we take back the land they already purchased. We need to go to our universities and we say, you either take Chinese money or you take American money, but the days of taking both are over. We need to stop all of the technologies that are going to China. Biden approved 70% of them. Trump approved even more than that. We have to tell them we're going to end all normal trade relations with them until saying I was very attached
Why does
to
it keep
China
jumping,
in terms
dude?
of trade. And the one thing we'll do is we won't wait.
Yeah, this
for
stream is not
China
good.
to pull the rug out from under Iowans. What we'll do is instead we will move that
Keeps
trade
jumping
to where
around
we have
or just
friends.
randomly
we will
will
go and build
crash.
partnerships. India, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, Israel. We will go and move that trade over. Right now, you can ask our farmers, when they go and they buy from China, China orders, cancels the order, then goes and tries to buy it cheap.
Dude. I'm about ready to just give up, man. It's been one of those nights, man, where you're just like, you know what? Things aren't working in your favor, so. Like waiting for it to go. Bruh. There we go.
Significant to our national survival. And you got to be methodical, strategic about it. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, sorry if
here,
this
but
stream
we're gonna
fucking
do
sucks.
that. Nikki Haley's not going to be able to do that because
I know
a
it
lot of her
does.
supporters make a lot of money in China. And so she's going to talk tough, but she'll cave on that. And then also with here in the United States, she's saying they shouldn't be buying land and be in the universities. When she was governor of South Carolina, the state gave China land. And they were in the universities. As governor in Florida, I banned China from buying land, and we kicked them out of our universities. That's what you want to do.
DeSantisLies.com. He has
Yeah, this is starting to, like, is it my stream?
an economic development arm. You had an
No, I have no
office
drop
in
frames.
Hong Kong. On the website, it said that Florida is a great place to do for Chinese companies to do business. And then when we called you out on it, you had the website scrubbed. So we know that that's the case. What I will tell you is we need to focus on what we're going to do to become less dependent on China. And we need to make sure that we look at it through a national security lens. When we had COVID, everybody told you to wear a mask. It was made in China. They told you to take a COVID test. You turn it over. It was made in China. If you go down the drugstore aisle, all those medicines are made in China. We need to make sure we're getting medicines made here, or we need to get it from our friends so that we're not in any way threatened. But I'll tell you, Ron continues to sit there and talk about China. He has done expansions in China. His biggest donor that is backed by China gave them $340,000. So don't go and talk about donors and money. Go to DeSantisLies.com.
Oh my God, stop plugging the website.
Your record hurts. I know your record hurts
My
in China.
record doesn't
Because
say
you're
we're
doing-
an economic powerhouse.
You're talking the opposite of what you did. You were made a big effort to bring them into the state. They had land near a military base. You were in front of the Chinese flag saying you work for them. You wrote a love letter to the ambassador. That's well documented. You were the #1 Republican governor in the country. And even people that on the media who are hostile to me, they say they can't find one instance of me as governor recruiting a Chinese company because I haven't done it. It's not been part of that. And the Enterprise Florida, we actually eliminated. So here's the thing, though. She's backed by companies
Keeps
like
plugging
BlackRock.
this website.
She's backed by major companies.
It's our only comeback.
They make a lot of money in China. There's a reason why you're in the mess you are in terms of trying to deal with the inflation and everything because the elites in this country have sold out the middle of the country for China. She is part of that now, and she's not going to stand up for you.
Governor DeSantis, I want to ask about something that you mentioned you've been talking a lot about on the campaign.
The constant buffering is crazy, man. Come on. Either just I'd rather be 5 minutes behind and
which is decoupling the
there we
U.S.
go.
economy with China's.
Stop
China
buffering,
is a
please.
top supplier of goods to the United States. The U.S. sells more than $150 billion of goods to China every year. Is it really possible to sever economic ties without inflicting major pain on American business and American consumers?
Sure it is, and it's something that you got to be strategic, you got to be methodical about, you got to focus on the things that are of national significance. For example, I don't think it's a good idea that the pharmaceuticals come from there, things for our military weaponry, all these important things that if we got into a worldwide conflict, we're going to ask China, who may be on the other side of that, to continue doing that. So you got to be smart about it. You got to recognize that you're going to have to do some incentives here in this country. Tax incentives, regulatory incentives, but I want to make things here again. You know, I look around the country, there's parts of Iowa that have been hollowed out, particularly in the eastern part, and I've talked to folks and seen what that did for the community. We were sold a bill of goods by a lot of elites in this country that somehow putting China in the WTO and granting a most favored nation status was going to lead to our manufacturing exporting a bunch of stuff there. Instead, they've gobbled up so much more manufacturing. I don't think you can be a first-rate power unless you have a very strong industrial base. So we're going to do that here. We're going to work on workforce education. You know, not everyone needs to do a 4-year brick and ivy university. That's not the best way or only way for a really big thing, but I just think the middle of the country has to have those good paying jobs, and we can't put the interest.
Kind of agree with
some of the
that.
people
I
on
don't
Wall
think everyone
Street
needs to go to
over the
college
interests of
to just be
Americans
able to
on
get a
Main
good
Street.
Let's
paying
move on
job.
to Social Security.
I mean, everyone should just get a living wage
Let's move on
instead
to
of a
Social
minimum
Security.
wage.
According to the Social
If
Security
we want to do
Administration,
if we're doing the
Social Security
capitalism
will be
thing,
unable to pay full
least give everyone a
benefits
living
in
wage.
decade if no action is taken. Governor
90%
DeSantis,
of
you have
jobs
said
can
that
really
you're not
just
gonna,
be
quote, mess with Social
like
Security.
a lot of the jobs that the
unquote.
average American does
that
can
mean
be
you have
just
committed
taught by
to
doing the
never
job.
raising
Especially a lot
the
of office
retirement
jobs.
age and never cutting
Or white-collar
benefits.
jobs,
So
especially.
all
Same with
seniors
blue
out
collar.
there, promise has been made
Do a
to you.
two-year trade
You've
school.
paid into this. Every single paycheck that you've had your entire life, they've taken money out of, and that promise needs to be fulfilled. So that will happen when I'm president. Of course, I have a lot of seniors in Florida that depend on Social Security. I know many of them, and I think back to my own grandmother who lived till 91. Social Security was her sole source of income. So promise made, promise kept. You know, on the retirement age, you know, it used to be people would say, well, life expectancy is going up. Shouldn't it mirror that? Well, the problem now in the last 5 years is life expectancy is going down. So I don't see how you can raise the retirement age when our life expectancy is collapsing in this country. That's a huge problem in and of itself. I'll work with both sides of the aisle. We'll work on something for the long-term strengthening, but I am not going to mess with seniors' benefits. In this high inflation environment, groceries are going through the roof, rent is going through the roof, all these staples, and you get a cost of living adjustment, but that's not enough to cover the costs that have been increased. So seniors are really strapped, particularly those that are on fixed income, and they have to know that we're going to deliver when it comes to their Social Security check. Now, we're going to get inflation down. We're going to get energy costs down. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to help seniors, but I think seniors should know promise made will be a promise kept.
So just a point of clarification.
I feel like
15
he's winning
seconds.
on the
Removing
economy
current
questions right now.
seniors from the equation.
Or at least
you're not
how
saying
he's delivering
that
them.
you're committing to never raising the retirement age or cutting benefits.
I would never raise the retirement age in the face of declining life expectancy. I mean, I think that would be really bad. I mean, just think about it. That hurts blue-collar folks. You get taxed your entire life. Life expectancy's down. You may not even be recouping very many benefits. And so life expectancy is declining.
Thank you, Governor.
That's a big
Governor
problem.
Haley?
3 years in a row, he voted to raise life expectancy to 70 years old. 3 years in a row. Go to DeSantisLies.com and you'll see.
Oh my God.
So now suddenly he's going to tell you
DeSantisLies.com.
because he's
Do you
running
know
for
it yet?
president, he's not going to do it. You can't trust him. What I'll tell you is Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 8. He talks about taking care of seniors.
What is the
Right
strategy
now,
to just keep going to the
Florida
website?
is the inflation hotspot.
Even
It's the
saying it
highest
3
cost of
times
living
over
of
2
any
hours, you
state
could get
in the
away with
country.
it. But this
Seniors
is
are
what,
having
like
to
number
leave because
7?
they can't afford it. It's documented in DeSantisLies.com. What
8?
I'll tell you we have to do is we have to keep our promises to seniors,
DeSantisLies.com.
but we also can't put our head in the sand. For those like Ron saying they're not going to touch Social Security, that means they're going to leave after 4 or 8 years and leave it bankrupt? No. What we do is we go to those in their 20s and say we're going to change the retirement age to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we do increases based on inflation. We limit benefits on the wealthy.
Thank you, Governor.
And we expand Medicare Advantage plans, which seniors love.
Thank you,
That's how
Governor.
we'll deal with
So,
making sure they have it.
reducing the benefits, when you do the change in calculation, reducing the benefits. So let's just put this in perspective. Under her administration, you would have seniors getting less cost of living adjustments while your tax dollars are going to pay the pensions of Ukrainian bureaucrats.
That's not true.
You talk about
That's
putting
such a
Americans
lie,
last.
Ron.
That is wrong.
That's
You
such a
supported all
lie,
that money
Ron.
going over there. So let's put
You're
our
so
own people
desperate.
first. We
You're
have to
just
put
so
Governor
desperate.
Haley, let him
and
speak.
she also said, she said recently that the age of Social Security is way too low. And I criticized that. And then she was called on it. And then she said she never said it, of course, you're lying. And then sure enough, you put on the interview where she's there, spit an image, and she says it's way too low. So, you know, we can play this song and dance. She has a record. She makes statements. And I think part of the problem with her candidacy is now that she's getting scrutiny, she's got this
They
problem
really
with
have not
ballistic
attacked Trump at all.
podiatry,
It's been each other.
shooting herself in the foot every other day, saying things that now she doesn't even take questions from people.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. Governor Haley, you want to raise
He's
retirement age
referencing
for
the
younger Americans. You have
slavery
not said what
question
that age
about
should
the
be.
Civil War
Should
that she
voters in
fucked
their
up on,
20s
that even
plan
Trump
on
roasted
working
her
until they're
about.
70?
First of all, he hasn't answered the fact that he voted to raise the retirement age to 73 different times. He can call me whatever name and be demeaning as much as he wants. It doesn't change the fact that Ron's lying because Ron's losing. Everybody in the country sees it for what it is. So what I'll tell you is, yes, we're going to take on. We're going to
I
be
feel like you're both
responsible
kinda
with
losing,
it,
but
and we're going
sure.
to go to those in our 20s. When I said the retirement age was too low, again, where he's lying. It's because if you go, and you can go to DeSantisLies.com, I said it's too low if we're going to look at those in their 20s. We have to go and start looking at what we can do to get out of this. We want to make sure that everybody who was promised gets it, but we also want to make sure our kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working till
till
70. I already know that.
So the way we do that is exactly
And I make
how
decent
I laid
money.
it out. Then we'll
But
know
just-
what we're looking at, and then we can start focusing.
It's never
going to
be enough.
We need to start cutting spending in D.C. We have to go back to pre-COVID
Then you have
levels.
student loans
That's why I'll veto
for most
any
of us.
spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels.
That's probably
That will
taking
save
away
us
from money that could be
trillions.
saved,
We've got to go into
be put in a
every
savings
agency,
account.
replace the head
Or
of
a
every
401k.
agency, and send people into every agency. I did that as governor. Pull down old regs, pull down old programs, get rid of any problem children, and clean those agencies out and get them mission focused. There is a lot of waste in D.C. You need an accountant to go in there and clean it up, but we're not going to take away from anyone else, and he's yet to answer the fact that he voted 3 times to raise the retirement
Just a
age.
clarification, Governor Haley. In 15 seconds, should voters in their 20s plan on having to work until they're 70?
They should plan on their retirement age being increased, yes. We're going to
Oh.
change it to reflect more of what life expectancy.
I don't think you're going to get any
One of the things
votes with
I
that.
think we disagree on too.
Maybe not
is,
conservatives.
Governor Haley has
Conservatives
said
don't wanna
Social
work
Security is
longer.
an entitlement, but you know it's not an entitlement. You're paying into it. It's not a welfare program. You're being taxed for this your whole life.
Yeah,
So
right.
To expect to have benefits on the back end, you know, I don't think that that's too much. The other thing I'd point out is
Yeah, it's supposed to be you're
Social
paying
Security
for the
decades
future in a
ran
way,
massive
right?
surpluses.
Your
What happened to those
taxes
surpluses? The
are-
Congress spent
tax-
the
in
surpluses.
theory, the
Yes,
tax
they
is
have
supposed
a
to
big
be.
Problem with that. So number one,
You're almost like
we need
putting
term
money into a
limits for members of
401k,
Congress.
right?
Number two,
Just into the
we need a
government
balanced budget
that you're
amendment to the
promised
US
to get this
Constitution. Number
when-
three, we need to get the
when you're
president
older.
a line item veto. And number four, when you see all these congressmen making a killing in the stock market, like Nancy Pelosi, she could run a very lucrative hedge fund. We need a 28th Amendment to the Constitution that says very simply, Congress shall make no law respecting the citizens of the United States that does not also apply to members of Congress themselves.
Ah, man, he's going to get votes at that. Or at least, maybe not votes, but at least
in this Republican primary campaign, Governor
he's
Haley
responding
last
well.
week,
I
Governor
think
DeSantis
that gets
said
him a lot
former
of
President
points.
Trump is not pro-life. Do you agree?
I mean, look, I think that he did some pro-life things when he was president. You'd have to ask him. That's why he should be on this debate stage. Don't ask me what President Trump thinks.
That we've stood
What?
very strongly for a culture of life.
Well,
Governor Reynolds
okay.
is here. She has stood strongly for
Ended
a
her
culture of
statement.
life and enact pro-life protection. We've done it in the state of Florida. Donald Trump has attacked that. What they did under Governor Reynolds here in Iowa, he said that that's a, quote, terrible, terrible thing. I don't know how you square that. He was at the March for Life when he was president his last year, and he said that life's a gift from God, that the unborn are made in the image of God, and that you needed to have protections for that human life. And now saying it's a terrible, terrible thing. He's given a gift to the left to weaponize that against pro-lifers, and that's wrong. But here's the thing. Republicans need to do a better job of lifting up folks who are having children. It's very difficult to raise kids in this environment. You need to help with medical care. You need to help with affordability, and we need to help with education choice. You got to be pro-life for the whole life, and you got to have some compassion for what is going on in this country.
Governor,
Thank you, Governor. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Governor,
I
yesterday
did not
in Iowa, you
expect the
criticized Governor
DeSantis,
Haley on this issue of abortion. You said
the
she's, quote,
DeSantis kind of,
indulged in left-wing tropes and chastised pro-lifers.
what's the
Do you
term I'm looking
believe
for?
Governor Haley is sufficiently pro-life?
He's like
confused on the
the
issue. I think she's trying to speak to different groups with
Gary
different
Hogan or
things.
whatever his name
But
is
when
in
she
Maryland,
says things like pro-lifers need to stop
the
talking
moderate
about,
Republican. He's trying to do the moderate
pro-women in
Republican,
jail.
I
That's
guess,
a trope.
the
No
tolerable
one I've
Republican,
ever met
where
thinks
he's saying,
that
he's
that's
like, you know
something
what?
that's appropriate. These women
I'm
that are
against
in
abortion,
vulnerable
but we need to
situations,
help.
they
You know,
don't
he's
get any
saying
help a lot of
sensible
times
things,
from
right?
these fathers who
In
don't want to be there.
still, there's a lot
supportive.
of.
A lot of times they don't have resources themselves.
Obviously,
so it's a
I'm
very difficult situation. And we've gotta have
pro-choice, but you know what I mean.
compassion
Where
for those
he's
situations.
saying
But I
the
think when she
things
starts bringing that in, that's using the
that the
language
kind
of
of
the left,
independents
to
like to
attack
hear.
pro-lifers. So I think that is wrong. But at the end of the day, I do agree with her on this. Donald Trump should be on this stage. He owes it to you here in Iowa to explain this change he's had in his positioning, to explain why he has a tough time saying whether a man can become a woman or not, to explain why he wants to build a $1 billion-plus big, beautiful new FBI building right in the heart of the swamp in Washington, D.C. He needs to explain why he didn't build the wall and why he added $7.8 trillion to the debt. Every candidate needs to earn your vote. Nobody's entitled to your vote. And he comes in here every now and then, he does his spiel, and then he leaves. I've shown up to all 99 counties because it's important. You're a servant of the people. You are not a ruler over the people, and that's the type of president that I will be for you.
DeSantis is getting a lot of applause. I think I'm starting to think he's kind of crushing this debate.
I didn't hear the criticism from Ron about me for being pro-life, but I'm not surprised. It's something that he does all day, every day. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband is adopted. And I've got my two sweet children sitting in front of me, and I had trouble having both of them. These fellas don't know how to talk about abortion. I have said over and over again, the Democrats put fear in women on abortion, and Republicans have used judgment. This is too personal of an issue to put fear or judgment. Our goal should be, how do we save as many babies as possible and support as many moms as possible? That's what we're going to focus on doing. We're not going to demonize this issue anymore. We're not going to play politics with this issue anymore. We're
even Republican
like
voters
issue that it is.
don't like that Republicans talk about pro-life so much, and she's responding to that. We talked about this.
Thank you, Governor. So.
Talk about this after the last elections in November.
Governors have mentioned that they believe that Donald Trump should be here defending his own record. I just want to remind
after a lot of Republicans got
debate,
beat in their respective races on abortion and transgender issues. I feel like ever since then we've seen the shift, especially from someone like Haley.
Donald Trump wrote on social media about his baseless election lies.
Kind of talks about how the Republican Party talks, right?
Allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, unquote. On that subject, former Vice President Mike Pence has said that on January 6, 2021, Donald Trump put himself over the Constitution. Governor Haley, is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
I mean, look, you take an oath to the Constitution, and I think what you're seeing is Donald Trump basically said that the election was stolen. He went on and on talking about the election being stolen. He said that January 6th was a beautiful day. I think January 6th was a terrible day, and we should never want to see that happen again. And I think we have to always be strong on the fact that, look, we want fair elections, and we saw some discrepancies in those elections in 2020 that should be concerning. That's why I passed voter ID in South Carolina. That's why I think when absentee ballots go out, you should be able to verify signatures. That's why I think ballots need to be counted on Election Day, and you should get results on Election Day. But that election, Trump lost it. Biden won that election. And the idea that he's gone and carried this out forever to the point that he's going to continue to say these things to scare the American people are wrong. We've seen a lot of states come together and
maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember any of them being pretty
but at the end of the day,
specific
I will always
and
defend and fight for the Constitution.
saying that
That's
Trump
what we
lost
should do as Americans.
up until this.
January 6th
At least maybe I'm misremembering, but
President Trump will have to answer for it.
So just a clarification, Governor. Is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
Well, I mean,
I don't remember anyone saying like Biden won, Trump lost.
I don't think it was a beautiful day. I think you look at
And
that,
especially calling January 6th
the fact that he
bad
wanted
thing.
to change what the states did, the fact that he wanted to overturn the elections in D.C. Those votes happen at the state level. You don't ever allow in D.C. for those votes to be changed at the federal level.
Governor.
States' rights matter.
Thank you, Governor. Governor DeSantis, is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
My role model for how to do the Constitution is George Washington. He said, "The Constitution is the guide that I will never abandon." And I remember when I took an oath to be an officer in the U.S. Navy, you raise that hand, you put that left hand on the Bible, and it's interesting, the oath doesn't say that you're going to defend the shores of the United States or engage in military conflict. The oath simply says that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. As President of the United States, you will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. You can't just terminate the Constitution. I mean, I know he does, word vomit from time to time on social media, but obviously I will uphold the Constitution. And I think it's fine to criticize Donald Trump, and I know the media brings this up a lot. But you know who else deserves to be criticized? The people that violated the Constitution during COVID to lock people out of schools, to destroy businesses, to force masks on people, to try to force vaccines.
Here we go.
I'm going to bring a reckoning to all these agencies, the CDC, the NIH,
We should have let
the
more
FDA.
people die.
They harm people in this country.
In the
And
name
when
of the
Dr. Fauci said
Constitution.
there
Thank
was
you,
no
Governor.
learning loss for kids. That's a disgrace.
Thank you, Governor.
There's a reckoning coming.
So let's talk about how you view.
We're letting the crowds
Let's
cheer
talk about
tonight
how you
too.
view the
I mean,
powers
granted, like I said, there's like 40 people here. Oh, come on, stop doing this. Let me watch the freaking thing, CNN.
in court yesterday for a hearing on presidential immunity. And Governor DeSantis, I'm wondering if you agree with the argument that Donald Trump's lawyer made in court that a president should have immunity for any conduct in office, including, as the judge asked, ordering the assassination of a political rival, unless the president gets impeached and convicted by the Senate for the offense first.
Well, obviously, that attorney gave the case away on that explanation. I think the D.C. Circuit is going to rule against Donald Trump on that issue. I'm not exactly sure what the outer limits are. I don't think it's necessarily been litigated. It's not going to be.
Oh yeah, I
issue with
forgot
me
about
because
that.
I'm always
I
gonna
didn't bring that
follow
up at the top,
Constitution,
but
and we're gonna uphold the best traditions.
yeah, there was
of the office.
Trump's lawyer
And I'm gonna
basically
be a
saying
president you
that
can be proud of.
the Trump
I
that
think it's
Trump
important that,
or any
people be
president
able to
could
look to the
kill their
president
political
and say,
opponents.
Hey, that's somebody that's worthy of emulating. And so my wife and I, we just view ourselves to try to do well for our kids and to make sure they're proud of us, and we set a good example. So that's what we would do in that situation. But I think there's a larger issue Republicans have got to think of it. Donald Trump's going to lose that appeal. He's going to end up going to trial in front of a stacked left-wing D.C. jury of all Democrats. What are the odds that he's going to get through that? And that's not even talking about the validity of the charges. I don't think he gets through that. And so what are we going to do as Republicans in terms of who we nominate?
They
for
should have
president?
been.
If Trump
This,
is the
once
nominee,
again,
it's
I
gonna
feel
be
like some of the
about
stuff is I
January
haven't heard
6th,
before, but this
legal
is
issues, criminal trials. The Democrats.
these
and
are
the
things
media
that I
would
feel like
love
they
to
should have
run with
been.
that.
Any of these candidates
I'm
should have
not
been
running
doing
for
from
my
the
issues.
beginning.
I'm running for your issues. We need to make.
I know
this
some of the
election
Trump
a referendum
trials
on
weren't
the
fully out
failures
yet,
of
but
Joe
still,
Biden,
like,
the failures of the Democratic Party, and how
I still think
we
they
have the
they should have
formula
done this
to
against
engineer
Trump,
a
being
great
like, we don't even know if this
comeback.
guy's going to be in
That's
jail
what
or not.
Thank you, Governor.
Are you going to vote for
Governor
someone
Haley.
who's in jail?
Governor Haley, your
That's
response.
what I would be saying if I was them.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The question was, do you agree with the argument Donald Trump's lawyer made in court that a president should have immunity for any conduct, including in ordering the assassination of a political rival, unless that president is impeached and convicted by the Senate for that offense first?
No, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we need to use some common sense here. You can't go and kill a political rival and then claim, immunity from a president. I think we have to start doing things that are right. And, Ron said we should have leaders that we can look up to. Well, then stop lying, because nobody's going to want to look up to you if you're lying. But what I do think we need to look at is, what has President Trump done? You look at the last few years, and our country is completely divided. It's divided over extremes. It's divided over hatred. It's divided over the fact that people think that if someone doesn't agree with you, that they're bad. And now we have leaders in our country that decide who's good and who's bad, who's right and who's wrong. That's not what a leader does. What a leader does is they bring out the best in people and get them to see the way forward. That's what we need in our country. We don't need this chaos anymore. We need someone who's going to be a new generational leader that brings sanity back to America.
Thank you so much. The CNN Republican presidential debate live from Drake University. We'll be back right after this.
All right, I think maybe one more half hour. It's got to be only 2 hours. There's no way this is longer than that. All right, I'm not going to change the screen because last time I don't think the ticker in the top left changed when I went away. So we're just rolling with this. I feel like Haley responded better that half. She's still doing the go to DeSantisLies.com too much. But man, I feel like DeSantis is kind of crushing it though. He's getting a lot of applause. His answers, like I said, when I say this, I don't agree with him politically at all. But how he's breaking down the things he wants to do, he's been pretty specific about it. and he kind of doesn't fall into the back and forth with Haley when she calls him a liar. He just kind of keeps pushing through it. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of crushing this debate. I was not expecting it. I thought it was going to be kind of just whatever, but I feel like this is his best debate by far, regardless if maybe he disagree if he wins this debate, but I think it's his best debate by far. But like I said, is that part of amount of screen time he's had? Not screen time, speaking time, perhaps. But I don't know. Yeah, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I see it, I feel like DeSantis is winning this debate. We're finally seeing attacks on Trump towards the end there too. There's been a lot of back and forth between them and kind of disagreements between them. Haley definitely keeps doing the liar thing. I don't know how much it's working. She did have some good answers about January 6th that I'm kind of surprised by. Like I said, I don't remember that being kind of a thing previously. Of either any of the candidates in the previous ones, of any of them being a pretty straightforward and saying, yeah, January 6th was bad. The election was not stolen. So I think that's kind of a new, at least not as specific as Haley's answer was. So I'm surprised by the amount of firsts we're getting. So yeah, I think for me right now, DeSantis is winning this debate, but I'm surprised by both on specific answers. I think there's a benefit to having less people on the stage, but I do miss my Ramaswamis or my Christies right now. I kind of do wish we had maybe at least one more voice. I mean, obviously, it would be Trump would be who I want to be here, for the memes, but. But yeah, there's got to be maybe a half hour left, if I had to guess. Man, I'm gonna. What time is it? It's 8:30. Yeah, probably a half hour left. And I gotta freaking sit here and email Twitch because I'm sure they won't even get back to me by the time my 48 hours are done. And usually I stream CS:GO or CS2 now. At 7 Eastern. So I don't know if I'll be able to stream, at least not on Twitch, till after the thing's over. But it sucks, I can't even go to my account. They should just have everything in the account. I have to send an email and do all these freaking steps. You gotta send. I have to send the URL of where it was before it got claimed. How am I gonna do that when it's got deleted? Can't even go on my account. Whatever.
Welcome back to the CNN presidential debate live from Iowa, Drake University. Let's start this with health care. Neither of you has released a detailed health care plan, so we want to give some
because they don't care about health care.
Some insight into specifics of what you might do as president. Governor Haley, as governor of South Carolina, you chose not to expand Medicaid under Obamacare. 40 states, including this one where we are in Iowa, did expand Medicaid, covering more than 18 million Americans.
40
as
other
president,
states did,
would you
and you
allow
didn't.
those states to keep their expansions in place?
Well, the first thing is we have to look at the fact that how can we be the best country in the world with the most expensive health care in the world? And so the way we're going to deal with it is we're going to open it all up from the hospitals to the insurance companies to the doctors' offices to the pharmaceuticals to the PBMs, make them have to show us everything. Because right now, I can tell you, we take care of my parents. They're 87 and 90. My dad is in the hospital right now. When my mom was in the hospital, a nurse came up to her to give her a couple of Tylenol. And she said, I don't need them. And she said, honey, you might as well take them because you're going to pay for them anyway. When we got the bill from the hospital, no one talked to us about that. Right now, you have insurance companies and hospitals deciding what it is for us. We're going to take the
Yeah, you
patient
should
out
just
of
get
the
rid of
back
them all.
seat and put them in the driver's seat. We're going to make sure that just like when you get your car fixed and you go and they say we can give you a temporary fix and it'll cost this much money, or we can give you a permanent fix and it's going to cost that much money. We're going to go and make it transparent so that we can see everything, so that they have to show us their warts. The second thing is we're going to pass tort reform around this country. I did that in South Carolina. Doctors don't give you those 10 tests because they want to. It's for the 90% chance they'll get sued. And then we're going to go and eliminate certificate of need in this country. I did that in South Carolina as well. That basically says if you have a hospital here, you can't have another hospital for X number of miles. They do the same thing for surgical centers, for nursing homes. We're going to put competition back in healthcare so that healthcare is fighting for the patient. That
is
way
just peak
services
capitalism.
go up and costs go down.
Governor Haley,
Brain
just
rot
a
right here.
15-second point of
What we need is more
clarification.
competition.
Would
That'll
you
help.
allow the states that accepted Medicaid
That'll help make
expansion
things
to
less
keep that?
So
expensive.
the problem with Medicaid is it needs to be sent down as block grants. Governors can best decide how to do that, whether they need to use it towards mental health, whether they need to use it towards support services. Right now, I would send all of that down to the states. The problem is they're only sending a small portion of it. They need to send more of that so that
Thank you,
states
Governor
can
Haley.
better take care of it.
Governor DeSantis, your response on whether you would allow Iowa and the other 39 states who accepted Medicaid expansion to keep it.
Well, I've spoken with a lot of folks here in Iowa, and we need health care that's accessible, that's affordable, and that's accountable, and particularly an emphasis on mental health. In every corner of this state, everywhere I've traveled in the campaign.
Dude, you're one of the reasons I have
concerned about
mental health issues,
with the
dude.
kids in schools,
And for a lot of other people.
that are
You and
coming out
your
of
your
service
crew
to our
of
country, with veterans.
conservatism.
We're going to put a big emphasis on mental health. I've actually delivered on some of these things in Florida. We got accountability for the pharmacy benefit middlemen that are causing your drug prices to go up. So we have transparency and consumers pay less. And I just beat the federal government to allow the state of Florida to buy prescription drugs from Canada, which is 25 cents on the dollar what our prescription drugs cost. I want seniors to be able to do. And then finally, we need to upend this COVID and medical authoritarian regime that we saw going around this country during COVID. It's wrong to force vaxes like the COVID shot and say people are going to lose their jobs. That is not going to ever happen on my watch, trust
Governor
me.
DeSantis.
It was like that though before COVID, and no one cared,
The program,
because it
and
made
then let
sense.
States run the
You just
way
made it
they
a culture
see fit
war
to do. But I
thing.
can tell you this. Expanding Medicaid leads to less private coverage. It doesn't necessarily increase access to quality care. I want to actually people get good health care. It's not just about a sheet of paper. If you don't get any good doctors,
Thank
that
you,
gives
Governor.
you entitled for that.
Governor DeSantis mentioned
Like, no
mental
one cared
health.
about
Let's talk about that. There is a
half the
mental health
vaccines you
crisis
get
in
as
this
a
country.
kid.
An estimated 58
Or when you have to
million
get vaccines to go
Americans
to
suffer from some type of
certain
mental
universities.
illness. Governor Haley, you say the mental health crisis is a
What happened to
cancer
Twitch?
that no one
I got a
has dealt
copyright
with.
strike,
What do you
supposedly.
think is causing the crisis, and what would you do?
So my
to
account
fix
is
it?
Well,
gone
I think
for
we
48
saw it
hours.
exacerbated by COVID. I mean, with the school lockdowns and everything else, we
So,
see young
that's what we're
people
doing
now with
temporarily.
more anxiety, stress, and depression than ever before.
I'm gonna try to fight it, but we'll see.
1 in 3 people right now
I don't even know
suffer from mental
how-
health issues. But if
how much
treated, they can
the-
live a
how
perfectly
quick it would be a
normal
turnaround
life.
anyways.
The problem is we don't have enough mental health therapists. We don't have
But
enough
DeSantis has
mental
been
health
doing pretty
treatment
good.
centers. We don't have enough addiction
And both of them
centers. And
been,
if you happen to be lucky
kind
enough
of
to get
punching
one of
up
those
at
three,
Trump too.
insurance
I'm
doesn't
kind of
cover it.
surprised
We have
in
got
a way
to
I
start
wasn't
dealing
expecting
with
at
this
least.
because it's become a huge
Like they-
issue.
like
And
Haley
that's why
said,
we need to have more telehealth so that people can get the mental
Haley
health
said
care
January
they need
6th was
right when they need it. We
bad,
need to have mental
and
health
that the election
counselors in
wasn't
schools
stolen.
so they can identify when a child has a problem that they can get the help that they need.
So I guess for
But right
Haley,
now,
yeah,
we've gotta
Haley's
get
pro-democracy,
access to
I
care.
guess.
That's again why I want to move those federal programs down to the state level because states know they need more
The
mental health
American
support.
democracy.
They're not getting the dollars to do it. We don't need DC bureaucrats handling that. We need this on the ground so that we can get the mental health centers, get the therapists, and get the help that people need so that they can be healthy.
Therapy is so
again.
expensive.
Governor-
Cheapest I could
DeSantis,
find was
you said
freaking
right here in
$90
Iowa
a
this summer
session.
that closing mental health institutions, a policy supported by Ronald Reagan, was a mistake. As president, would you restore federal funding to those mental health institutions?
Yes, we need more people in institutionalized settings, unfortunately. But, you know, Governor Haley mentioned, I think correctly, the devastating mental health consequences for these school closures, a lot of things that happened during COVID. I never recalled seeing her out there fighting the fight. I was on the front lines on that. Governor Kim Reynolds was on the front lines on that. We fought back against the biomedical
people
state.
had-
We were attacked by the media.
Yeah, 'cause we were
attacked
trying to
by
be
the
safe.
pharmaceutical companies. We were attacked by the left, attacked by Fauci. We stood and we helped people. And Iowa and
We
Florida
helped
had the
people.
best
How many people
schools
died in Florida?
opening in the entire pandemic.
Did you ask
because we
them? Oh,
led.
wait, you
That's
can't
what
'cause
you
they're
wanna
dead
do.
and you don't
Now,
care.
in terms of mental health, I've run into veterans here in Iowa, and I think we have a significant problem with veterans.
I've been too nice today, I
particularly
think, on
9/11
both of
veterans.
them.
And
I
we
keep
know
giving
the
too many
stats on
compliments.
suicide. It's really, really sad. And as a fellow veteran, as president, I have to put that issue on the front burner. We can't keep turning a blind eye to what's happening to our vets. It's not going to be done just through the VA. And it can't be done just by pumping people with pharmaceuticals. If a veteran has post-traumatic stress, you need more than just that. So we're going to use the VA to link veterans with resources that are throughout our country. For example, in Florida, we have an organization that trains service dogs to be able to be paired with veterans with post-traumatic stress. They understand the symptoms, they mitigate it, and you know what? The suicide rate is close to zero as a result of that. We got to
He's
think
pro
bigger than
service
these
dogs.
bureaucracies, and we've got to be there
I'm
for
shocked,
our vets and their
honestly.
mental health.
Thank you, Governor. Turning to the topic
thought that'd be some
of
woke shit.
climate,
I don't know.
2023 was the hottest year ever recorded on Earth, and Americans are already feeling the impact.
Well, we
Just
couldn't
yesterday,
record it back
the
in
National Oceanic and
1770,
Atmospheric
so it
Administration
might not
reported that
actually
US
be the
experienced
hottest.
28 weather and
That's gonna be their
climate-related
response.
disasters that cost at least $1 billion last year, another record. Governor DeSantis here in Florida, Governor DeSantis here in Iowa, massive flooding has left farmers underwater. In Florida, rising seas threaten coastal cities. You have taken action in your home state to mitigate the problems of rising seas. But as president, would you do anything to deal with the underlying cause, which scientists agree requires cutting carbon emissions?
So on day one as president, we take Biden's Green New Deal, we tear it up and we throw it in the trash.
There's no
can.
Green New
It is
Deal.
bad for this country. We have to have
There is
reliable
none.
energy. And
Doesn't
here's
he
the
even
thing,
said himself? It's not. He
they
doesn't
talk
call it
about-
that.
Joe Biden has said that global warming is worse than a nuclear war. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, gee, John Kerry hasn't given up his private jet. Obama hasn't given up his Martha's Vineyard seaside mansion. I haven't seen Biden do anything to hold
Okay,
China
he's right
accountable,
here.
except making
He's
sure
correct
that
here.
Hunter gets his money. So these guys talk out of one
With
side
the
of their
private
mouth,
jets,
and then
they need to be
behave in
abolished.
another way, and I think that's wrong. But I also think that those policies would devastate communities, particularly here in Iowa. I mean, for example, he wants to mandate electric vehicles. That's going to be more costly. I think the
It's going to devastate
them.
him.
Bankrupt, but it's going to
Even if it does
liquid
devastate
fuels,
them
which is
now,
very, very
it's going to be more
important. You're gonna end up
devastating
having
in
rolling blackouts
20
if
years
they
when
need
everyone's
to have
underwater.
Reliable energy
Then
production
what?
in this country. Florida's had a massive decline in emissions. Wasn't because of a single mandate. It was because
But
of
the truth of the
innovation,
matter is,
because a lot of natural
as long as
gas has
capitalism
replaced
exists,
coal.
we're not
We
fighting
do
climate
have
change.
Market-based solar, and it's a complement, but we cannot walk
So that doesn't
away
matter what
from
any answers
reliable
they said,
energy.
because it's not
And I
happening.
think about, here's what the left wants to do. They want to take away your freedom, and they want you to pay more.
If capitalism
for
gave a
everything.
shit about
We need you to pay
climate
less
change,
for
it would have
energy.
fixed it in the
We need to
70s.
make sure people can innovate. We cannot have these mandates, and they'll be gone.
These
the day I'm
corporations will do whatever it
Governor,
takes
just a point of clarification, 15 seconds.
to make
Recent
sure they don't
research at the
lose
University
their
of Iowa
grips.
ties these floods in Iowa to the rise in greenhouse gases.
And here's the thing, Jay,
let me
I
just
appreciate
just
that.
ask the question. As president, would you do anything to deal with this underlying cause?
Innovate. And here's the thing. China is building 2 coal plants a week. You can do everything Biden wants to do, and you're going to have way more of what China's increasing it. So why would we be cutting off our nose to spite our face?
We've literally
China
drilled
is
for
the
more
problem
oil
here, and so
under
hold them
Biden than
accountable.
any
You gotta
president
hold the
prior.
American people
Thank you,
to less
Governor. Governor
opportunity.
Haley, as president, would you do anything to deal with the underlying cause of the floods and other climate disasters, which scientists agree requires cutting carbon emissions?
I mean, first of all, regardless of what party, everybody wants to have
2
clean
coal
air,
plants a week.
clean
They're
water.
just-
They want a world that they can pass
By the end
on
of the
to
year,
their
it's gonna
kids
be a
that's
lot,
gonna be
baby.
healthy and all
Gonna be
of that.
100.
But how do we do that? I think the first
300.
thing we have to understand is You don't deal in extremes. When I was at the United Nations, the reason I took us out of the Paris Climate Agreement was because President Obama had put all these mandates down on our businesses, but they didn't do anything to hold China and India to account. Those are the two countries we have to really go to if we care about the environment, that we go and make them be held accountable. The second thing is we'll roll back all of Biden's green subsidies because they're misplaced. Rather than putting anything towards innovation on what we can do on nuclear fusion and other things that reduce emissions, which there are things out there, to go and have everybody have to drive an electric car by 2035. That's not even smart. One,
I mean,
because which, by
electric
the way,
cars by
Ron
2035. I
took
mean, that's a
Biden's
long
stimulus
time.
money and did charging stations all throughout Florida. I wouldn't have taken the stimulus money. But what
It's 11
that does
years.
is basically we don't have the infrastructure. And
But
I'm not
we
just
shouldn't-
talking
we
about
shouldn't be
charging
doing
stations.
cars. We should be
Electric
doing-
vehicles
we
are
should be doing
heavy.
trains
Our
and-
roads and bridges wouldn't be able to handle that if we did that because they're heavy in weight. And so we have to be smart about the way we do that.
Yeah, it's almost
Not
like
to
cars
mention
are
70% of the
don't
batteries
work.
in electric cars are made in China. So Biden gave this massive windfall to our #1 national security threat. If we're going to do it, innovate it, transition, and
See,
do
they're
it
talking
the
about like a
right way,
competition
not an
thing.
extreme.
They're like
Thank
talking
you. I
about
wanna
how are
turn
we
to
going to
the
solve the
issue
climate
of crime.
crisis? Well, we need to
The
compete with
majority of
China. It's
Americans
like
describe
there's missing
crime
the,
in the
the
US as
it's just
either extremely
capitalist
or
brain
very
rot, dude.
serious. Recent data
Instead of being like,
shows
no, we need to work together as a world to figure this shit out.
states and cities.
But like I
something
said,
he
like,
could potentially
capitalism
do under the Insurrection Act. Is
needs-
that something that you would do as
once
president?
there's
What I would do is, first
like
of all,
coal
defund
companies, oil
sanctuary
companies,
cities.
they have
It's
too much
hugely
power.
important that we do that. That's where we're seeing a lot of crime. But the
And they will
second
do whatever
thing
it takes to
is our
stay
law
at that.
enforcement is demoralized.
That's why we'll never get rid of oil.
Because if they go and they arrest someone for having a stolen
We'll
gun,
be in Blade Runner
it's
worlds.
demoralizing when they go through all that effort, put their lives
Unless
at
we
risk,
throw away
and then
capitalism.
you turn around and let that criminal go the very next day. Prosecutors need to prosecute according to the law, and we've got to start holding them accountable. When we bring law and order back to our cities, then that's when they'll be safe. You don't do it by defunding the police.
I thought we
and you
were
don't
still on
do it by
climate
just
change for a second.
praising
I'm
the
like,
police.
more
You do it
cops
by having
equals
their
less
backs,
climate change?
making sure we passed the first body camera bill in the country in South Carolina to make sure that law enforcement felt like they could do their job without feeling threatened about them.
You really
doing
want
their
people to
job.
start
We
hating
have to
the
have
troops now,
prosecutors
too? You start
prosecuting.
sending
We
troops
have
into
to
cities.
defund
People are going to start really
sanctuary
hating
cities. We have
the
to get
military
these-
even more,
these
man.
stolen guns and drugs off the street, and the only
Unless
way we
you're
can do that
hiring
is
Kyle
by manpower
Rittenhouse
law enforcement.
people
Governor
I
DeSantis.
just
to
think
be in your military, which I guess
That quote
Republicans
from
would be okay
former
with.
President Trump is a little bit rich because he was president during the worst rioting in the modern history of this country, the BLM riots in the summer of 2020. When I saw that happening in Minneapolis, in Florida, I called out the National Guard. We had state law enforcement deployed. We said, you're not burning down our cities in this state. And you know what? It didn't happen. He sat in the White House and tweeted.
Yeah, when I went
law
to
and order.
Minnesota,
But he did
I've
nothing
said it
to
before. When I went to
ensure law and
Minnesota, there was
order.
nothing
As
there.
your
It was
president, I
sad.
will
We
never
burned
let
it
our
all down.
cities burn. You have every right to stop this runaway rioting as president. In fact, you have a duty. Now, Nikki Haley and I have a disagreement on the BLM stuff too, because she tweeted during this period of time that the death of George Floyd should be, quote, personal and painful for each and every American. But people in Iowa had nothing to do with that, or Florida or South Carolina. She was virtue signaling to the left. She was accepting the narrative, and she was trying to impress people who were never going to like us. I never bought into going after the police. We back the blue to the
Thank
hilt
you,
in the
Governor
state of Florida,
DeSantis.
and we have lower crime as a result of
Thank
that.
you. Governor Haley?
Yeah, that's why.
It's interesting that he did that. He put a tweet
More because
that's
there's a
very
bunch of
similar, but let me
70-year-olds
tell
in
you why
Florida,
he did that.
so they don't
First of
leave
all,
their houses,
we
or
had
the only thing
one
they
of
go
the
to, if they do
worst
leave, it's just to the
two-racial
beach.
shootings. We had the shooting of Walter Scott, who was shot 7 times in the back by a dirty cop. We had
Anti-cop Haley?
We had a horrific shooting at a church where a white supremacist came in and killed 9 amazing souls. BLM, all of that, we never had to deal with riots. We never had to call in the National Guard, Ron, because when we had both of those shootings, we were able to pull people together. We didn't have riots, we had vigils.
But then we did
didn't
nothing,
have
though.
protests, we had prayer. We brought
We
people
prayed,
together.
and then we went
When
to
I
work
said
the
that
next
about
day.
George Floyd,
Okay?
when we turned around and had the worst shooting in a religious place that we had seen in this country. Not only did I pass the first body camera bill in the country and keep our state together, not only did I move to bring the Confederate flag down, we came together as a state in prayer, and we had no division, no riots, no anything. We didn't need the National Guard because a leader knows how to bring out the best in their people.
Thank you, Governor. So you have been sparring on the campaign trail for months. We've seen some vicious attack ads going back and forth, and tonight we have had a very lively debate. On a different note, Governor DeSantis, let me ask you, what do you admire about Governor Haley?
Well, look, I mean, I think that, at the United Nations,
I like
I
her
did think
pearls.
that she spoke out strongly on some key issues, and I appreciated that. I also appreciate the state of South Carolina. My wife is a College of Charleston graduate. Her parents live there.
No, you're not even complimenting her. You're just saying you like the state she's from.
There's a lot of great people there, and I think to be able to have been governor there is a great achievement. And
this question
I
sucks.
Really appreciate everyone I've gotten to meet.
They should reverse the question.
Governor Haley, what do you
hate the
Governor
most?
DeSantis?
I think he's been a good governor.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're
That's
going
it?
to squeeze in
They're-
another quick break, and we'll be right back with more from the
Wait, more?
Republican
There's gotta only be
debates
closing
here at
statements
Drake
left. There's
University.
no way they're going longer than 2 hours. I think he's a good governor. I like his perfume. So awkward, yeah. All right, we can't tune away because this fucking CNN thing will just pause. I still don't know, folks. Should I upload this on YouTube? Should I take the time to do it? I feel like, especially after the stream went down, it kind of sucked. But I don't know. I hope the energy's good tonight. Maybe this I should pretend that everything's fine. You know, this is how the trolls win, right? As they see and they're like, look at them cry, look at them get sad. I hope it's been good. Maybe I'll upload it and just throw in there, hey, this happened. Sucks, but I'm hoping to at least get rid of it. I have a feeling I'm not going to get an answer. Because, yeah, Twitch literally had layoffs today. Or yesterday, or whatever day it was. Like 500 people got laid off. So I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get any response from them. Oh, man. No matter what, we'll do Stock Gang Friday. Don't worry. I just got to make sure I peel that copyright thing. Because I think if I get one more strike, then I'm just GG's. Which is so dumb. Can't believe I'm defending YouTube, but YouTube has a better system somehow. At least your channel doesn't get nuked. Yeah, I can't even go on Twitch now. It's crazy. I can't even watch other streamers. I don't get how that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I'm just logged out. It's so dumb. Like, okay, whatever. Let's say I did purposely copyright strike. I shouldn't be able to just stream then. I should be able to freaking still watch my people. They'll do that to me, but then they'll let like fucking fascist losers on the platform spew hate speech for 7 hours. Whatever. We'll be fine. Worst comes worst, I'll just start streaming on YouTube, I guess. Which won't be as fun, but yeah, Sock Gang this Friday. And then hopefully doing a rare gaming stream. We're doing some Exo Primal because I want to play it because I got it on sale. Then Monday I'm hoping to do the Iowa caucuses coverage. We're going to break down how that whole system works. And then see how the night goes. It might be over quick. Who knows? Well, since it's caucuses, It's not like voting where they'll know right away. I don't think. Let's see if there's any like live coverage of that. Oh man. 30 seconds. This has got to be closing statements. Because it's late for me. I'm in Mountain Time. East Coast time, it's hella late. No one's staying up. I think in Iowa, it's their Central Time too. So during the week, that's crazy. I can't even watch.
We're back live from Des Moines, Iowa, and the CNN Republican presidential debate. We now have time for closing statements, and we begin with Governor Haley.
First of all, I want to thank the good people of Iowa. I have campaigned for 11 months, whether it's driving a combine or holding a pig at a produce area, or whether it's the fact that we've met owners of bakeries and small businesses. You know, every one of them knows that we can't go through 4 more years of chaos. And if it's Donald Trump, there will be 4 more years of chaos. And we can't be a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. And we can't go through another nail-biter of an election. And if you look at the polls right now, going against Joe Biden, in every one of those head-to-head polls, Ron doesn't beat Joe Biden. Trump is head-to-head. On a good day, he might be up by 2 points. I defeat Biden by 17 points.
I mean, a lot of people defeat Biden. Like, literally any Republican can defeat Biden, I think.
That's House, that's Senate, that's
Biden's polling so bad.
That's a mandate to get our spending under control and get inflation down. That's a mandate to get our kids reading again and go back to the basics in education. That's a mandate to secure our borders with no more excuses. That's a mandate to bring law and order back to our country. And that's a mandate for a strong America.
The way they talk, it really does sound like we live in Mad Max. I swear to God.
I know we can do this.
Law and order. People are just murdering each other every second in the streets. I don't even go to work anymore. It's just too scary outside. God bless.
Governor DeSantis.
Prayers up.
Well, it's been great to visit all 99 counties here in Iowa. I've been able to meet so many
She didn't
friends,
say
and really learn about
DeSantisLies.com.
some of the best of America. Iowa's votes do not need to be corrected by any other state. You all know what you're doing, and we have an opportunity in Monday to really change the course of history. Donald Trump's running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues, your family's issues, and solely to turn this country around. I'm the only one running that's delivered on 100% of my promises, and I'm the only one running that has beaten the left time and time again, from the teachers' unions to Fauci to the Democratic Party.
Can you go after Twitch
We
to get
need
my
to
account
run
back,
under the banner
DeSantis?
of bold colors that are putting the American people first. We can't run under a banner of pale pastels of the warmed-over corporatism, the likes of which is practiced by Nikki Haley. Freedom is on the ballot. Decline is a choice. We have it within our power to fix this country and to turn it around. I am asking for your support in the Iowa caucus on Monday, January 15th. I'll be a president that you can be proud of, and I promise you this.
Can't wait for him to get like
I will
3
get
votes.
the job done, and I will not let
3
you down.
points.
Thank you, and God bless you all.
Our thanks to Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley.
He's doing the fake smile thing again.
Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley, thank you so much, both of you, for being here tonight. Thanks to our audience, to our host, Drake University. For Dan Bash and the whole CNN team, I'm Jake Tapper. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for watching.
Jake.
Be sure to join us Monday, January 15th.
Can I watch
at 4
this?
p.m.
Probably
Eastern
not.
For CNN's coverage of the Iowa caucuses. Anderson Cooper and Caitlin Collins are going to pick it up right now with more on the debate. See you tomorrow.
Damn, this kid immediately stormed the stage. Where's the security? Damn, they did in this little hall? I feel like there's like no security there. Alright, well, fuck CNN. First off. Awful live stream, which kept crashing, and then supposedly I got a copyright strike, so. But I know you're tired of hearing about it. Who won this debate? Who won this debate? I feel like just DeSantis. It's crazy. I never thought I'd see the day, but DeSantis won a debate. Granted, was he only facing against one person, yes, but he got the job done, folks. He started off pretty good. He had a really good middle half there, and I think his closing statement was better. And he kind of just kept brushing off the whole lies accusation that Haley kept doing. For me, it's like Haley, I think, lost the debate because she just was trying too hard with the whole lying thing. She said, I think, like at least 10 times, DeSantisLies.com. It just fell flat after a while. They both don't have the Riz. We'll say that, right? But comparing them two, I feel like DeSantis had more energy. He was more specific in his answers. And yeah, I just think he knocked it out of the park. I think this is his best debate by far. And I think it just helped that he had more airtime. But you know what? That's how the game is played sometimes. I think he did it. Out of all the debates we've watched, I think this was the easiest one. I think he's the winner. I'm going to change this. I guess it's the 5th, but I'm going to say Iowa. DeSantis. I'm just going to do his last name. Okay, biggest loser, I guess, has to be Haley, right? And what else would it be? Come on, Jack. And then most crazy statement. I feel like no one said anything that crazy. I mean, compared to Ramaswamy, who's just absolutely crushed it in this award. I mean, the award should be named after him. I mean, does it count as crazy that Haley said January 6th wasn't good? Because I just feel like no one said that before. I could be misremembering, but I don't remember anyone saying that. I mean, there was some, anti-trans stuff with DeSantis, but it's almost, it's almost whatever at this point. He says it every time. I don't know. There's really no one. Can I do most crazy statement in the sense that Haley said DeSantisLies.com 10 times to the point where she sounded more crazy because she kept bringing it up? Man, I don't know. I feel like I'm pulling at straws here. There's got to be one. I'm just misremembering. I mean, there's nothing that's really like crazy, right? Because it's like all the same shit for the most part. Like the like they say crazy things, but they're not like part of it's the execution. It's hard to compete with the GOAT. It's Ramaswamy. Should I just give it to DeSantis? I feel like if I had to pick between the two who said the craziest things, I guess it'd be him. Like I said, the execution wasn't as the same level as Ramaswamy, but fuck it. Did I do all caps for DeSantis? I did. Why not? Who cares? Well, I think that's it. Right? Any objections? I mean, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Except for this one. I mean, I just feel like any of them could have got it. Especially when it comes to the trans, for them, the trans issue, and the woke. I mean, he did talk about the woke Disney and stuff, which is kind of funny. I guess, yeah, I feel better about it now. All right, I think that's it. And I think there's another debate at the end of this month for New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember when. I think it was on. Was it on the 29th? Or on a Sunday or something? I don't remember. Let me look it up. Next Republican debates 2024. I swear. Wait, when was this posted? Oh, this is 2020. This is for the presidential debates, which probably won't happen. When's the next one? Yeah, they host 2 of them. When is the second one? January 21st. That's a Sunday. Oh. If my Ravens are playing on Sunday, I don't know if I'm watching it. We'll see. Play it by ear. I mean, this one was fine, I think. Yeah, I think this one was fine, but yeah, I'm still just, I mean, obviously frustrated with the Twitch thing, but I'm glad we were able to make do best we can. I mean, maybe I'll throw the video up. I don't think it hurts to do it. I'll throw the video up, and I'm just going to edit tomorrow, though. I don't want to think about it right now. If I put it up tomorrow, maybe get some views. I mean, our big ones are going to be if we do get presidential debates. So as long as when those come out, because those do better when I do because even like the old ones got pretty good views. But all right, y'all, enough of me rambling. Yeah, sorry. I hope the stream was good. Sorry, I kind of got cut in half there, and hopefully I didn't ruin it too much. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Yeah, next stream will be this Friday, hopefully. Maybe on Twitch, maybe on YouTube. We'll see. But appreciate y'all watching, tuning in, all that good stuff. I'll catch y'all around, okay? Bye-bye.